Good morning, folks. It's another great day. Another great day. By the way, can you turn on the heat there, Robert?
Oh, yes,
I'm a
sir.
little on the chilly side. And Ben says hello. Today a bit earlier. Yes, today is a morning stream, and yesterday was an afternoon stream. And we're solidly going to go on the side of morning streams only going forward. Um, there's just more people on ready to watch in the mornings, unfortunately. So I hope we don't leave behind too many of our people that can only come in the afternoon. I know there's a lot of people, yeah, yesterday included, that when we end the stream at 4 o'clock, there's people, oh, what did I just barely miss it? I'm sorry. I just can't stream 24 hours a day. Um,
Yeah.
yet. Got to work up to that, right?
Right.
All right. Yes. Well, we might have a subscriber slash member stream one of these days where we just every time we get a new subscriber on Twitch or a new member on YouTube, we extend it by another 15 minutes and start by saying, okay, we're going to go 4 hours, and every new subscriber and every new member we get during that time, whether it be a renewal or otherwise, we'll just keep on rolling forward, adding another 15 minutes until finally we get to the point where we just don't get any memberships or subscribers, and then it comes to the end. So yesterday for me it was 7 p.m. Now it's 4 p.m. Yep, that would be the case. That would be the case. Yep. All right. So Ben is here, and Gonalgrim says good morning, and Trumpkin says good morning, and Gonalgrim was on the YouTube on the Minecraft server this morning, so he's already building away there, probably watching as well. So you're saying that you have to make 96 new accounts, subscribe, so you can stream for 24 hours straight. That would be the case. If you've done the math accurately, that would be the case. And Daniel joined us again from Brazil. That's cool. Appreciate Brazil people, folks, too. So Brazil, it is 9 o'clock in the morning here. Are you in the same time zone there? Is it 9 o'clock in the morning there in Brazil, too? That would be interesting to know. My monster of the day here is Peachy Keen. So it's kind of the peachy colored one. Can't do a green one because all of a sudden it disappears and turns blue right in front of the green screen back here. It's too funny. So yeah, if somebody gives me 96 new accounts, I will stream for 24 hours straight.
Oh, wow.
I would venture to say that I would probably lose Robert for a while. I'd probably lose Garrett for a while, and I would probably we'd have to double time things and keep moving forward. Frequent breaks to stretch and so forth. Yeah, 80 new accounts just since start with 4 hours to bake in the first 4 hours and then wait for more accounts and such. So way cool. That's an idea. Might do that. What? Pardon?
I like that it's the 100,000 subscriber event.
Yeah, maybe what we do is get to the new subscriber event. Yeah, that would be cool. Oh, so the studio is getting along. We now have 3 of the 4 walls painted. Don't have the trim work painted. Don't have the trim up. Don't have the trim around the windows up yet. But we're getting there, slow but sure. It is starting to get there. So I'm excited to see it take shape. We'll get our studio lighting up here pretty soon. So I'm excited to do. So Daniel says it's 11 a.m. there. So they're still 2 hours ahead of us, which means they're farther east than we are.
Is Brazil all in one time zone, or does it have multiple?
Yeah.
It has to have multiple.
You would think. You would think. So, how about if I go on? Calvin says good morning. Good morning to you too. So here we go. Today what I want to do is I need to get the frames that I built yesterday over to the mall. I want to pretty up the the factories that we made for the reinforced iron plates and for the frames that we did yesterday. Pretty them up, make sure get contiguous walls around them, put the signage on the new frame factory and tell how much output it is giving, and get that all set up and settled. Then I'm going to go on to start making items for copper. So I'm going to start with I'm looking at my notes over here to the left. I'm going to start with cable, and then I'm going to go to build wire, and then I'm going to build copper sheet. So I'm going to start placing those stores down so that we get those 3 items into the mall, and then once we get the copper items there, we've already got steel coming into the train station. The next thing would be to start building things that require steel. So slowly starting to build out that second floor with the level of constructors and assemblers. Once we get to where we need a manufacturer, we'll have to go up to the 3rd floor because the 3rd floor gives us more headspace, and the manufacturers require more headspace. So once we require a manufacturer at the end of one of those factories, we'll have to go to the 3rd floor. The logistics gets a little bit more challenging when we go to the 3rd floor because we then have to bring it down to the logistics floor below the 1st floor. So we have to go from the 3rd floor down to the 1st floor. So we'll have to work that out. But Garrett is slowly working on getting that 3rd floor ready for us. He's started getting the roof to that 3rd floor. And in fact, if you saw the end of the video yesterday, you saw us playing around for a while on that 3rd floor. So that's kind of the agenda today, and we'll stick to that as far as we need to, and then hopefully we'll get through all that and then have to invent something else to do. So Jacob Yoda says thank you for the YouTube shorts. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'll keep putting those YouTube shorts out. In fact, I just recorded a new one today. So that one is the one to come out next
Thursday.
Next week. So Icy Night redeemed first. And caught Gondelgrim and Trumpkin sleeping. Ha ha. He says ha ha. Okay, very good. So go ahead and switch me to the factory, and you'll see that I'm on the logistics floor when you see this. The logistics floor here is where I'm going to start pulling the frames over here, and I'm just going to put it beside here, and right here is where I pulled the plate, and I'll pull it right beside the plate, pull it on down there. So here we go.
And random flow place. Hopefully our volumes are okay. Let us know if that needs to be changed at all. But a random flow pop says, "Hi, you're the reason why I play play this game."
Really? Okay, well, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. As the builds get more and more complex, we'll be able to put more and more information out there to help people get to build the more complexity. I mean, to me, a game gets discouraging when it gets to the point where you can't figure out the next step. So my goal is to make sure everybody can at least figure out that next step. Put out enough tips to help everybody to do that. So I'm heading across the logistics floor here, putting this east to west belt on the ceiling, and there are belts that usually go north-south would go on the floor, but we don't have a bunch of those on this floor. We mostly have them going north-south, I mean east-west. So you don't see a whole bunch on the floor yet. And if you do, you'll see them over there, going along the wall and then coming along the other side of the wall, trying to keep them well organized and untangled.
Ben asked, do you know by head how much crude oil nodes I need to do a 5,000 megawatt power plant?
Off the top of my head, no. Um, how big was the one that we did, that we made the simple oil plant out of, video out of? Do you remember, Robert? That wasn't
No.
much more than 500 megawatts, was it? 5,000 megawatts, I mean?
It wasn't even that big. So,
Okay. And there we used a pure and a normal, I believe.
I think so. We also did a short on a simple fuel power plant as well.
Yeah, so if you search for that, that might give you some numbers to work with. Let's try putting it there and see if that puts it about the right.
And the Midnight Gemini
Midnight Gemini. I like that name.
it says, I just got to oil, currently trying to clear everything out and map out the city. So much deleting to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So true. You'll find that as you iterate through things that you'll end up needing to delete, reconfigure, restart, on and on and on it goes. You know, it's just the nature of the game.
And it really doesn't ever stop.
No, it doesn't. In fact, Robert and I had I built an entire, basically built the entire store to make the reinforced iron plates factory. Built out the entire thing and said, I just don't like what this looks like. And we strategized and we worked together and realized that really we needed to make it more compact and not worry about the aisleways that we had left in the middle, going through the middle of the factory. So the factory went east-west, and we had travel lanes that Garrett had built in between pillars going east-west, and we just needed to just remove those and just build through those. And once we did that, the factory seemed to work pretty well, and that's what you see today. So yeah, it's just a matter of continuing to build and rebuild until you get it where you like it. So, and so here's the first floor. First floor is where we've got a lot of the product coming in. So we're getting the portholes down through here. Ah. Okay.
So Manfred has a calculation here. He says, using the basic crude oil to fuel recipe, you need 600 crude oil to make 400 fuel to feed 20 fuel gens, which then makes 5,000 megawatts. So 600 crude oil.
Okay. Got a formula.
Oh, Icy Knight. I'm sorry, I completely missed that. No wonder. So Icy Knight just watched the VOD from yesterday, and he recognized that he had asked me to have you take off your hazmat suit before the fight with the nuclear-powered tractor or truck, and I didn't have you take off your hazmat suit.
Ah,
And that's
well,
what made
that
the
would have
difference.
prevented me from hopping on board and just driving the thing around and
Yeah.
escaping you. Okay. Iterations toward perfection, Trumpkin says. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
And uh, Jacob says, you probably answered this a million times, which graphic already, but which graphics card are you running?
I have a 4070. Robert has a 4070. And Garrett now has a RTX 4070. So all NVIDIA
Yeah.
cards at this
He
point.
says his 3080 struggles when he looks at a waterfall.
Yeah, well, our video cards are still struggling when we look at the Gigafactory. So,
Yeah.
hey, Robert, your portals are both over here. The one is
Awesome.
for the reinforced iron plate. The next one next to it is for the frames,
Cool.
modular frames. Okay, so they are there and ready for your use, and I am headed back upstairs to go finish putting the window dressing, so to speak,
Cool.
on my.
Midnight Gemini
Factory.
says, I feel like I've seen some programs or tools where you can map out the layout and it could calculate the output to tweak it to peak efficiency.
Yep. You know what we're finding also is that the way, potentially the way we've been doing math before in making the assumptions for our particular um, our particular layouts um, for belts and for splitters and for the volume that those belts and splitters move might be less accurate than what we had thought in the beginning. And the reason I say that is because we've done quite a bit of experimentation with now with the belts and how they function by going to the 1.1 experimental and putting the indicators on the belt. Now, when we get 1.1 delivered, to the production level, it's not in experimental anymore. We will then be able to really start tweaking our belts and seeing what can be done as far as actual output. Like this 300 per minute output, we're beginning to doubt that we're actually getting 300 per minute because after it goes in and out and through everything, went up a little bit too far. In and out and through everything here. Right now it's stopped because it's not gotten all the way into the mall yet. That the throughput might not be quite what we would have expected. And we're going to have to figure out where the deficit is and figure that out and tweak it. So that'll be an interesting exercise once we get that far.
Mm-hmm.
Now, were you able, when you put this bottom border on across, were you able to change?
Yeah, just with the customizer.
Thank you.
Yep. Mr. Cundy said, also, is it better to take all ore and transport them to the refineries for pure recipes? Or is the difference not really necessary? Well, if you have the pure recipes generally are considered to be the best alternate recipes in the game for ingots and that level. So then it just comes down to what node you're using. Which do you want to move, a liquid far distance, or do you want to move the node of far distance? The raw ore far distance, and just decide where you want to put it from there. And German Chips is here. Hello. He says, "Hey Doc, I missed the last stream. What have you done?"
Well, yesterday, basically, we built this factory here, which is making modular frames. So this factory has 3 modular frame stores, outputting 67 modular frames per minute, at least by the math. And we've collected those, and Robert is going to put those into the mall And now I'm just dressing up the outside of the mall, making it look nice. So,
Yeah. And a little bit ago, who was it? There we go. Redstone Ninja. He said, Doc, would you ever try a game called No Man's Sky?
I don't know. What's No Man's Sky about?
It is a game where you can explore an infinite number of worlds by spaceship, and you go to the worlds and you can build your own factories there and gather stuff. There's a bit of a storyline, if I remember correctly. Garrett and I both have played it,
Okay.
and it was pretty fun. It'll be
Okay.
another one of those games that's a lot more fun with a group.
Okay.
The two big things to note about No Man's Sky is, first, it originally had a really terrible reception. It came out and everybody was super disappointed. But then the developers continued to work on it and later put out a free update to it that blew everybody's minds and thought was amazing and totally redeemed themselves. And so several years after the launch, it had way more players than it had right at launch.
Interesting.
And the other story is that it uses fully procedural generation for the creation um, of its planets.
Procedural generation for its planets?
For the planets it builds. Yep.
Interesting. We need half walls.
Yes. If you use a side wall, or you could just nudge the wall to hide it between the two.
Yeah, but it goes over this porthole. So I'm gonna
And
take.
German ship says, you're using all the iron ore on the planet?
I will
Question.
eventually.
Yes, eventually we will. Galtogram says, No Man's Sky is typical of the gaming development mainstream. Unfinished game on launch that's broken, buggy, and unfinished. A decade later, well, 6 years, they completed the game and added the content that was advertised and promised.
Sounds like Boeing development.
The big deal, and it was big and promoted before AI. Okay, so this was in the pre-AI era, when procedural generation was kind of like the king of infinite content, because you could just generate all the things, right? And everybody was super excited for procedural generation. And so that was one of the ideas of, we can have infinite planets to visit, and the world is infinitely big. And then they released it. It was like, oh, so I can land on a planet where the animals have long necks and are purple, and then I can fly over to the next planet, and they'll be pink and
Short
have
necks.
short necks. So, and everybody was like really underwhelmed, like, but why do I,
Why do I
and
want to do that?
yeah, and procedural generation kind of got a bit of a black eye after that, because it just became but who cares, So. The big deal, Gontogram, if I remember correctly, No Man's Sky was a Kickstarter originally. If I remember correctly. They did fix it. And that is fairly rare of a lot of those kinds of projects.
Of a Kickstarter project in particular?
Yeah, a lot of those are just delivered and they say, well, we tried really hard and we had an amazing team and we love everybody who worked on it. And then they just kind of walk away and say, but, if you guys invest in the sequel, it'll be even better. I was like, but you mucked up the original. You know.
But easier to ask forgiveness than it is to ask permission. To launch a game that's less than adequate. I mean,
Yep.
it's just tough.
And I mean, when you run out of money, you run out of money.
Yeah, exactly.
And first time chat from SwiftyB says, not sure if Doc has noticed that you can use Alt and mouse wheel to swap between rows of potentially more keybinds. Well, Doc isn't a big fan of keybinds, so.
Hello from Korea with 10,001. He says, quite hard to find information on this kind of game here, so I've always wanted to thank you because your video tutorials helped me settle into Satisfactory successfully. Well, way cool. Hello from Korea. I won't try to read your name because
What sounds would you
I would
associate
fail.
those symbols?
And a first-time chat over Swift B, not sure. Okay, you read that one. It's not that I don't like key bindings. It's just that, yeah, I've been a mouse person. I grew up with Microsoft. Microsoft uses a mouse. Now, my dad, on the other hand, grew up with WordPerfect, and he did everything on the keyboard. Dad, there's a mouse there. Oh, it's easier on the keyboard. Dad, use your mouse once in a while. No.
In your generation, would it be fair to say that using a keyboard for things that you could use your mouse for was kind of like the backwards way, the old way of doing things?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's be modern about things,
But the old thing that every keybind enthusiast says, yeah, but once you figure it out, it's so much faster.
Yeah. Once you figure it out, it is so much faster. I will admit that 100%.
I am a proponent of keybinds when it comes to video games. It is. Okay, so Gunpilgrim did say some more about No Man's Sky. Said eventually the game was fixed. For example, people are complaining about a lot of Nintendo's prices for gaming. While people may not like their games, have yet to play a game developed by Nintendo that was unfinished or anything like the likes of No Man's Sky or Anthem or Fallout 76, all of which were shipped half done. Mm-hmm. I'll pay a premium for a good game, just be honest, not greedy or crooked.
Yeah. And after a while, that's the way you start feeling towards people,
Yeah.
Towards some development houses. They always want to put out a half-baked product to get you hooked. But the problem is, like for example, version 7 of, help me remember the game that we played. We were waiting for version 7 to come out, and we prepped for it, and we prepared for it.
Oh, Civ 7?
Civ. And,
oh my gosh.
And then Civ 7 was just a dog.
We got so burned by that game.
It just was not ready for prime time. Is the way that I term it.
And I was upset for multiple reasons. It's not just that it was bad, but this was Doc's first exposure to trying to hit a release window, right, of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like trying to convince you to, hey, there's this brand new game, it's gonna be awesome, and you should play it on release.
Yeah.
The next
Mm-hmm.
argument's gonna be a whole lot harder to make.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
And really, it shouldn't have been that way. It shouldn't have been that.
Okay, well, I'm scanning a hard drive, and Doc Janganlana asks you to hydrate as well. Reminder.
Okay. Hmm. A monster.
There we go. Hard drive is scanning.
Good. Thank you for continuing to remind us to do those hard drives. In fact, you've reminded us so effectively that yesterday we got to the point where there were not enough slots to scan a new hard drive. We had to go ahead and actually take some of the recipes and put them in there, ones that we may not have been ready for or we didn't think we'd use, in order to scan a new hard drive. So thank you. It has worked. It has worked, definitely.
Galta Grim says, wasn't Civ 7 also removing basic quality of life features with scrolling and keybinds?
I wouldn't have noticed that for the reasons that we just talked about. So,
Yeah. I liked some of the things that they proposed, and some of the changes I think they made worked, but I became increasingly frustrated every single time an age changed, because every single time it was, hey, you know that cool civilization you're building? Oh, now it's not going to work because a random number generator decided that your one strategy no longer functions. And then, as you finally beat it and barely succeed, okay, now we're going to wipe out all your progress and start you on a new map that's similar to your old map, but we're going to wipe out all of your units. Even though you did a really good job building up your units so you can go to war, we're going to wipe all that out so you can go and play a different game. And it just, I wasn't playing Civilization anymore. I was playing a mobile game version of it where every game was a half an hour long. Redstone Ninja says they tried to do too much in Civ 7 and failed because there was too much. Civ 6 will always be the best Civ.
Okay.
I still play Civ 5 and Civ 6. Both of them are great for their own reasons. One thing they really talked about in their promo material was the idea of a third of the game should be polishing old mechanics, a third of the game should be the base that you always had, and a third should be new. And I like that theory. I loved how between 5 and 6 there was a major shift, and I enjoy both games because there's new elements in 6 that aren't there in 5, and I enjoy both. But they missed it with Civ 7.
What are you rubbing?
Sorry, just scratching an itch.
Okay.
That sound should be filtered out from anybody else, from them, but I apologize if you can hear that. Trumpkin says, from a developer's perspective, quality of life is the last thing implemented because features and UI changes right up to the last minute in many games, even after launch. Yeah. And Cole plays Minecraft Bedrock says, hi!
Hi there.
Good to have you here.
That's a big hi. Hi.
Okay, Doc. I have 3 of the 4 copper sent up at least to the logistics floor.
Wow. You beat me to it.
Well, with all these blueprints, I'm able to put something in pretty darn quick.
fantastic.
In fact, I'm going to take over the stream for just a second to show them.
You're gonna show off.
Just to show off, yeah. So here's my view. Everything here covered in copper is brand new. We have our 12 primary copper lines. All these come from directly from a mine via the train. And then this is a
Overlord, huh?
an overload compressor to ensure that each of these 6 secondary lines stay entirely full at all times. And we're going to put multiple more layers of secondary lines, because once these go and feed the lanes the dock is currently making, they will back up and be backed up into this lane and so on. We should be able to get 3 or 4 of these secondary lanes here as well. So,
Yep.
yeah. And this is all on blueprints. So, yeah.
So that's why that's how Robert was able to do it so quickly, is that he can plunk down. That was only two blueprints for the splitters and mergers you see there.
Just 2 there.
Yeah.
And
then
then
it's just a matter of connecting, and those stackable conveyors.
This really nice
mergers
horizontal to vertical adapter. That's a blueprint right there, which I personally really like that design. It's nice and compact. And this vertical piece that goes from here all the way up to the top of the logistics floor, from that port all the way up to here to that port. All
Those
these.
are all
That's all one blueprint.
Porthole, floor holes and everything.
Floor holes and everything.
Whoa.
In there. You notice they're all labeled iron ingots. I've got to change that now.
Yep, the ones that are copper, you gotta change it.
So, yep. Anyway, back to you.
All right.
Trumpkin says Civ 4 was great because of the Leonard Nimoy voiceover. Yes. And you can stack infinite troops on one tile.
And of course, they couldn't do that with Civ 7 because Leonard Nimoy was no longer with us.
Unfortunately. And he also liked Alpha Centauri. Same feel with amazing quotes. I never played Alpha Centauri. And Trunkin says, you'll always wait a few months to see how the game goes before spending money on it. Yep. It does not buy to reorder. Epic Louder's here. Says, good morning. Hope you're having a good one.
I am better than yesterday, because yesterday I just had a hard time shaking the sleep out of my eyes. Gosh.
So what happens when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning?
That is a true statement.
And Megalith is here. How's it going? And Random says, what are you automating now?
Right now, I'm putting the window dressing on the frame factory I built yesterday.
Yeah.
So Robert is getting me some copper, and then as soon as I get done with putting the window dressing on these factories here and putting the signage on them, I will then, like that sign over there says reinforced iron plates. I will then take and start on copper products.
Yeah. And Megalith asks if I did the kill, but we are taking a break from Kill Doc for a little bit. But you are top of the line when that comes back. So. And Megalith says, I got motivation to play Satisfactory after the last 6 months, if not.
Cool. Yeah, I'm finding that it might be advantageous to take breaks every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Stop yawning. I don't want that to come back. Yes, we heard that yawn, by the way.
And Zeo Spiller says, hi.
Hi, Zeal Spiller.
You know, Gauntlgrim, yeah, Gauntlgrim says he's a bit of a Nintendo fanboy. He'll buy any Zelda game that comes out and pre-order them too, because there's never been a bad Zelda game. And
Zelda, huh? I've heard that name before.
I hope so. Zelda's been around since the very beginning.
Yeah, didn't you play quite a bit of it?
I never did, no. If I were to play a console, it would probably be Nintendo, and probably play some Zelda games. But
Well, and that's the only Nintendo, that's the only console we've ever had, is we had the original Nintendo when they first started coming out, right?
I got the Nintendo Classic when it came out, and it has the original Zelda on it as well. It's not a very good game. No, it's actually a pretty terrible game. Now, like the original Mario Brothers still holds up. The original Super Mario Brothers is still a ton of fun to play. The original Zelda game, not at all.
You didn't like that. Interesting.
No. Well, it's super punishing. The controls are very janky, and it's very difficult to. It's very punishing if you make any mistakes. Oscar, I'm not taking that bait.
Okay.
So, Doc, in the game Zelda,
Hmm.
Zelda is not the name of the character you're playing. Zelda is the name of the princess you're trying to rescue,
Right.
right?
I remember that.
Okay. So, Oscar says, Robert, I didn't like that Zelda game. That Zelda guy's ears were too pointy.
So you had to fill me in what the joke was.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be Link. I'm sorry, Ice Knight. I know we got rid of your favorite button. Hopefully it comes back at some point.
Uh-oh. They've already noticed.
Yep, they've already noticed. And Gauntlegram says Super Mario 3 is pretty much the best Mario game ever. It is good. I had... Oh, Megalith redeemed Butterfinger. And give it a stretch as well.
Okay.
On my original Game Boy, yeah, I had the original Game Boy, I had the Super Mario Brothers on it. And when I was on the bus going to college... No, by then I had a Game Boy Color. I had a Game Boy Color at that point, but I had my original Game Boy, played it originally there, but I brought the Game Boy Color with me, and I got to the point where I could beat the original Super Mario Brothers very,
Just
very
during the bus ride?
Say what?
You could beat it just during the bus ride?
Yeah. But that
Okay.
game's also known for having multiple level skips, so you can jump to the end very quickly.
Oh, and you found all those level skips so that you could get from beginning to end very quick.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. And that was the only way to do it. If you didn't have the level skips, it wasn't happening.
All right. I'm supposed to stretch. I'll stretch my wrist. Biggest problem is this. You can't see the scar here, but there's a very pronounced scar down here
Yeah.
from my breaking my wrist the other year and a half ago now, a little over.
Yeah.
So that wrist gets very tired. That's another reason why key bindings and first person shooters don't get along with my wrist.
Doc retires and immediately says, "Now I'm going to break everything."
Yeah, okay, yeah. You know, somebody looking back at my at a history of this period of time might think so.
Yeah.
So I broke my rotator cuff, fell down a stairway and tore my medial collateral ligament in my knee, and then of course broke my shoulder. So wrist, shoulder, knee. Is there something else I can break? I haven't broken a hip yet.
Well, okay. But, okay, first off, how many pieces of titanium do you have in your body? How much has been replaced with titanium, I should ask?
Now it's 2 knees, 2 hips, and a shoulder. Still got a shoulder I could go.
There you go. I'm surprised that your wrist didn't get replaced, you know?
It might have been better if I had. Okay. Any pro tips of a way to organize factory sections without making everything a mess? I'd love to build a factory as beautiful as yours. Wow, what a compliment. That's nice. And, well, keep watching the live streams and you'll get more and more tips on organization, because that's what I'm trying to do. Partly because the less audio video you have on the screen, the better your video card works. So notice that I'm building the walls all the way up to the ceiling here. And I'm doing that deliberately because having visual breaks for distance helps your video card. And once I get done with this factory, I really don't care what it looks like inside. I just care that the output is still working and that we're, it's everything inside is still functioning. And I can easily observe that by just going up here on the roof and seeing, the yellow sticks versus the blue sticks versus whatever other kind of stick to tell me whether it's functioning. Now, I'm noticing that if I go all the way up to the ceiling here, Robert, that I probably will want to put a doorway up here, even though it might look a little out of place.
Okay.
But put a doorway up here to have access to the top of the manufacturing of the factory. So anyway, little tweaks. But I am creating it all the way up to the top simply because that will allow me to to block off the sight distance for the graphics card.
Doc's latest short is titled Giga Spaghetti. And that has some of the more general techniques that Doc's developed for building the factory as well.
The first big innovation was the stores, making modular factories that looked like, just basic building block pieces, like building frames, building rods, building rods and building plates and building screws. And I can just plunk one of those down and I know I've got an output, like in the screws, I've got an output of 1,200 screws just by throwing down a blueprint. And it looks smart, looks, like a little box factory. So.
Oscar says, so what I'm hearing is you're, I don't know what your numbers specifically mean, says that you're 201 human and 5 titanium.
5 titanium and, there's 206 total joints in our body.
Oh, okay.
Is that what he's...
Bone quantity or joint
Interesting.
quantity. Sure.
That works.
Bollicrum says, good afternoon, Doc. I'm once again suffering from an ERP system.
That is not a curable disease. That is just an incurable disease. I'm sorry.
Our condolences.
Yes. I suffered from that disease for many years. That's why my database programming skills became very invaluable to Boeing. Being able to make sense of the ERP data as it was put into a data warehouse and getting it extracted so that my people could use it decently.
Oof.
Yep. I love data. You know, data got to the point where it talked to me. After a while, I could look at data for a while. I could look at data for a while and say, okay, I need to get this information out of there. And that's how I would get that and that and that. Somebody would come to me with a problem. I'd say, oh, okay, I can do that.
And I have to say that while we owned the bookstore, that was a very annoying talent for you to have.
Annoying?
Yes.
Because
I'd come to you with an issue, and you're like, and I just show you a spreadsheet full of gobbledygook, and you'd point out exactly what the problem is more than once, and I'd be like, yeah, but why is that the problem? Explain to me so I can understand. And you're like, I don't know, it just is. That's what it is. Fix this,
and you'll be all okay.
and it all worked. And it would be so badly because you couldn't verbalize it. You just said, yeah, that's the problem right there. And it was always the problem, but I couldn't see it from just looking at the data. Oh.
I'm sorry, that was irritating. I really am.
Welcome says Doc speaks fluent spreadsheet.
Yep. It's all about data structures and patterns.
Volcom says, I have a GLN. I have a GTIN. I have the sizes, the amount, the manufacturer article number. Take my number. Any of them. Update. They now no longer work when you try to manually import them either.
Oh, no. Oh.
Grim did say something a little bit earlier. He says, as for consoles, I don't see a reason to buy one outside of the Switch. PlayStation and Xbox, I can buy and play any game they come out with on PC, and I don't have to pay an additional fee to play online for what's essentially a peer-to-peer connection for those systems. Yeah. Okay, Oscar has a silly a silly question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather be stuck at a hotel that's hosting Comic Con or a Furry Con?
Comic Con.
Definitely
all
Comic-Con.
means. Oh, yes.
First off,
I would just love going and people watching. Just sitting there and people watching.
there you go.
Absolutely.
I'm not a convention goer. I worked at a convention center. It was not fun. Actually, really, really funny one time, Doc. There was a very small offshoot Comic-Con type event happening elsewhere at a different convention hall. Okay, and a very small one. Ours was the large one in town. And we were currently holding a graduation for college. And so here we are at a university graduation, and 95% of the people there are walking wearing graduation gowns. The families are all dressed up. Everybody's very nice looking, whatever else. And every once in a while, somebody would walk in a full outfit of some crazy character from Star Wars or some comic book. And the best part was there were 4 ladies who walked in, and they were all dressed as variations of, oh, what's the character's name? The female, the bunny from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, I can't remember.
Okay, so they were all wearing, pink tights and the bunny tail and the whole get-up because they were going to Comic-Con convention, and they were walking in a hall full of people in ties and suits and dresses. It was great. And I was working the reception desk. And so I had to inform them, I'm sorry, you're at the wrong location.
Oh, really? They were totally at the wrong location?
Totally the wrong location. It was a completely different hall somewhere else.
At a different, totally, not even at your convention center?
Right. Not even at the convention center.
Oh, my. Well, at least that day was fun.
It was definitely entertaining, yes. Ben says, I'm currently making rubber and plastic, but what
Hmm.
should I do with the excess fluid?
Um,
I'm guessing you're talking about heavy oil residue?
yeah, probably. So what do you do with the excess fluid? You just use it.
Yeah. Megalith's very simple answer. You can make more rubber or plastic with the residue, or you turn it into fuel.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
turn it into something useful.
Yeah, make it into fuel, get some extra power out of it.
And throw it in another power plant.
So Icy Knight says he was not alive when the NES came out.
Ah, a young one.
The NES came out the year I was born. And Gondogrim says, to give you an idea of how old I am, there's a gaming console, in quotes, that predated the Atari called the TI-99. It came
Uh-huh.
out in 1979. Him and his brother had it when it came out. He's not as old as Doc, but he is as old as dirt.
Do you say, does that, is he trying to say that I'm older than Dude? By reference?
Yes, I think we confirmed that you're older than him a couple weeks ago.
All right, I'm stuck on a ceiling again.
Yep. Oh, Trump can redeem scan a hard drive. I will get that done. We have first time chat.
Really? From Zonated Weevil. Following up Brooklyn, have everything planned for this? Everything planned for the factory? You've got to be kidding me. No, I don't have everything planned for the factory, but pieces and parts of the factory are definitely blueprinted. And we shared several of those blueprints earlier in the live stream that the factory I'm standing on is a blueprint. The factory, all these factories that were pieces and parts of this main factory I call stores, and they are all blueprinted. And all I've done here is basically just connected the parts and pieces together to make this factory. So this factory that I'm dressing up right now and finishing the floors and so forth in to connect the parts is.
Redstone Ninja, I hate you.
Ah, that's such a mean thing to say.
He says something to make you all feel old. Feel old. I'm a full-time post-university career, and I was born in the early 2000s.
Your full-time post-university career? In a full-time post-university career, born in the early 2000s.
I really hate that. I
Wow.
really do. Wow.
Mm.
Volocrum says the problem with the ERP system has been escalated. It'll come sorted out
Sorry
for
about
us the
that.
next time they come over. Oof.
Escalated and sorted out for the next time we come over. Ouch. Which brand of ERP system do you have installed?
It's enterprise resource planning, Goggle Room.
Yeah, enterprise resource planning. In other words, it's a fancy term for, oh, look at this, Robert. It's not even a half.
Uh-oh. Looks like you got things staggered a little bit.
Yep. Let's go see if this piece fits over here. It does. Well, this is a whole one over here. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, the customer.
He says it's called Atrium.
Interesting. That is a brand I've not heard before. So, just to give you an idea of the troubles Boeing has in figuring out its IT department, they bought their first ERP system for Boeing commercial airplanes, and they bought it from a company called BAAN, BAAN, a European company. And then after about 7 years of trying to get it all figured out and get their arms around it and try to deploy it, because back then ERP systems were not easy to deploy. Anybody says ERP was easy to deploy, they've never deployed an ERP system.
They're probably a salesman or a liar.
One or the other, I'm sure. That's where it was off over here. So the bottom line was that they eventually ended up, after fussing with this company for years, BAAN was to the point of going bankrupt. And we had hundreds of thousands of dollars already invested in the deployment of this particular ERP system. So basically, Boeing just ended up buying the company because we couldn't afford to not finish deploying it, because it would have, just start all over again. And there wasn't a whole lot that was reusable. So that is the ERP system that I worked on and was helping people figure out. And so now they're in the process of implementing SAP and trying to now consolidate all of the ERP systems all the way throughout the company, which some had SAP 1, some had other different company flavors of ERP systems. And now they're trying to, get it all homogenous in one ERP system. And of course, I was there, and they had all kinds of bold promises about when they were going to deploy this system. And guess what? I worked there for 5 years, didn't get a single chance to even start the first real deployment. Oops.
Fulcrum says, sounds like the nightmare of bloatware.
Uh-huh. That's about it.
Yeah. And
All right. Now I've got to.
and Ben from YouTube is
Mm-hmm.
now over here. He's
Okay. Changed over to Twitch now.
Yep.
Okay.
Good to see you. Let's see if we can get rid of that warning from him.
Yeah, let's see if we can get rid of that warning. I'm kind of. Yeah. In other words, you just basically go in and you go to that transaction and tell it it's okay.
Yep, you can say stop monitoring. There we go.
Okay.
Cool.
You just tell it to stop monitoring. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see if it'll get rid of that for his next comment. He says, I just want to get some points to make Robert kill Doc. Eventually. We have that disabled for today. Okay, guys?
Just got too much to get done today. Gotta keep it going.
Spacebird says, I just started using foundations for my walls and used windows to give it kind of a modern look. Love seeing different build architecture. Your tips have helped me a lot so far, so thank you for all the tips, Doc.
Okay, appreciate that. Using windows for what? Using foundations for walls?
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought.
Gives you a very flat face instead of this heavily textured stuff we have.
Okay.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
That's an idea I don't hate. Oh, gosh. Do I have to... Should I completely redo this to get rid of a little bit of clipping?
Why don't you show on the screen what this is?
I know what they're going to say.
As soon as I see it up on the screen, I'll be able to comment.
Yeah, see, Icy Knight says redo it before we even show it. What if I just don't show them? What
Yeah.
they don't see can't hurt them.
Right, it's down on the logistics floor. You can do anything you want down there, right?
Exactly. I can do anything I want down here. And Icy Knight can't say anything about it.
Yeah, our quality control expert here.
There is a pause button for redeems. Okay, thank you, Shanna. I'll take a look.
Pause button for what?
Fine, I'll show you guys. Okay, so when I put in my second layer of the overflow manager, the output all comes from this final row of smart splitters right here. And the problem is that the overflow is just, gonna run into this top conveyor there, and there, and there, and there. So what I can do is I can just take this conveyor right here, and I can just move it out and have it attach a bit later. That might be a little bit faster, a little bit cleaner
Okay.
way of doing
Will
it.
you have to destroy your blueprint of...
Yeah, because removing the blueprint and removing the lifts and the track and the other lifts over here, that's quite a bit more difficult. So, yeah, I'll probably just move these lifts over here.
It's 3 lifts. Okay, that shouldn't be too huge of a deal.
Megalith, don't.
Uh-oh.
Gosh, guys. I mean, now you have. What do you mean you having regrets? Look, this looks fine. It looks just fine. It's orderly. Everything's good. Everything looks nice. There's nothing wrong with this whatsoever. Okay? I don't know what your problem. You know what? Go away. You guys can play with Doc, okay? Watch him play paint by numbers on the roof of a factory. All right.
I'm almost done. You can see the edge of the building over there, and I'm almost there. Okay, almost done.
Yes, I did, Ice Knight. Thank you.
Looks like you have gamma up too high, Robert. What is gamma?
It's related to brightness in your settings.
Game settings?
Yeah. So Noesis asked a question that Redstone Ninja, I think, gave a great answer to it. But Noesis asked any tips when it comes to building aluminum production. And Redstone Ninja said that if you use the sloppy alumina and pure aluminum alt recipes, it simplifies and significantly improves it. If you don't use those alt recipes, you're in for a really difficult time balancing things. So, And then Noesis asked another question. Doc,
Okay.
what did you use for power before nuclear?
Oil, fuel. Yeah. So yeah, oil, fuel. We've, started with regular fuel, and then later we upgraded to turbo fuel. The second batch of power plants we made from fuel, we upgraded to turbo fuel. And then
Yeah, eventually we'll upgrade
and
that to
then
rocket fuel.
and then yeah, eventually the rocket fuel there. All right, looks like I need to put some signage out there. Then I'll be done. Okay. Very good. Oh,
And we got a stretch from Ben.
got a stretch from Ben.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to steal that one. Lean back in my chair for a bit. Oh, man. Oh, yawn too, if that's allowed.
no, it's not allowed. You got rid of that from yesterday. Doggone you.
Uh,
I am going to go copy your billboard from the other side
okay.
and put it over here so we keep the same format of everything.
And both Redstone Ninja and Epic Louder like the idea of having blimps or zeppelins added to Satisfactory.
Blimps or zeppelins, huh?
That would be fun.
So, Robert, just to give you an idea, there's our iron plate factory, and this is the frames factory.
Okay.
Look how
cool.
much bigger it is.
So it uses 3 full cells instead of 2?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Cool.
Too bad I can't just copy the entire thing instead of just copying the settings.
Yeah, well, copy the settings and then click your middle mouse button.
And of course, when I copy it, it's going to tell me, okay, that's the upper. Let's see if it's right side up. Yes, it is. E, come on. Get closer or something. E. Paste. Good. So 67 per minute times 3 is 100 and 200 and 301. Yeah, 301. Okay, and select the icon for modular frames. There we go. Okay. Now, well, obviously I can't hold on to. I put it higher than this one because the wall's higher. I need to go put the upper wall on this one too, but we'll do that later.
And Spacebird says the new update has an error for when placing billboards. Can't wait for it to go live.
Has an arrow,
Yeah.
so you can actually tell which side is up.
Uh-huh. Well, Doc, you looked at it close enough. You can actually tell when you're placing it, right?
Right. The the knobs up above. See the two little knobs on the either
Yeah,
corner?
those 3 pixels up
Yes,
there.
exactly. Not much, and you had to clue into it in order to get in order to get and paste settings. Yes. And yep, I should have copied the settings from the other one after I'd modified it. Now I'm going to copy settings here. There we go.
Ben asks, "Does anyone from here know how I can make clean conveyor belts on ramps?"
Clean conveyor belts on ramps. You mean conveyor belts that don't clip into the clip into it? Is that
Yeah,
the
I
issue you're
think
having?
that's what we're talking about.
What I have found is I bring the belt, before it starts going up. What I do is I bring the belt right up to the edge before it starts going up, not right on the edge, but a bit back. Then I'll start the belt there and go up until I'm no longer wanting to have it elevated. As long as you stay on the elevated portion and go just to the ridge up above, then place it there, and then you can go straight from there. And it keeps it from clipping into the belt, because the clipping happens because the curvature of the belt is more smooth than the curvature of the inclines starting. So come up close to it, but not all the way on it. When you want to go up, when you go to the top, go up right up to the ridge to put the thing coming over from the top of the ridge. That's about as smooth as you can get it. There are other videos that have even more information concerning concerning how to put belts together. I haven't actually made one, but other people have. What? I copied the settings from the other one.
It
Oh,
didn't copy your changes.
nope.
Ah. Noisa says, and I think you're correct here. Says it seems like a lot of people rush to finish like phase 4 unlocks, and then you stop and properly build your factory from there.
That's about right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you pretty much. What did I do? I am expecting a save button to be over here. And I went down here just absent-mindedly, not thinking, and I hit the revert settings button.
Oh no.
That's the one wish that we had in that video that were not fulfilled is give me a consistent save button. Don't expect me to remember that, oh, this dialog box, all I have to do is change the text and it automatically saves, versus having to hit a save button, versus put the save button in the same location with each dialog box, versus, just
Yeah.
that
It's just
consistency.
consistent UI. Instead, they go for the Apple style UI where you get to discover for yourself where everything is.
And you get to discover whether you need to use it or not. And I want consistency. All righty. And a couple coming down the side here, and I am done. Whoops. And I'll be done with, first off, I want to come over here and I want to do this and copy those settings. And I'm going to hit there to copy the build. One thing about this is if you see the back, you can tell that you've got it right side up as well if you look at the back, because it has that stem going down if you put it on a floor. So that's another way to tell that it's right side up.
Oh no, Volgrim, don't. Volgrim's getting into a den of snakes here without knowing. He says, if Doc made a mega factory by putting modules making up the factory inside, does that make the mega factory a warehouse for modular factories?
Okay. I'm gonna have to ponder that one for a while. I don't know about that one.
Doc and I have talked at great length of how to make the Gigafactory work, especially with the issues we found with the Mega Factory of them stealing resources from each other. And we've kind of halfway come to an accord. We'll see how well it works.
Yep.
So
We shall see. Definitely. There's still things that bother me about our agreement,
yeah,
but that just we'll work those out as they come.
yep. So, and as we get to the point where we actually have to implement the shift, we'll talk about it more. Trying to share it all conceptually feels like folly.
Okay. Well, we're at 716 followers. So of you 14 that are following on Twitch, if you haven't, that are viewing on Twitch, if you haven't hit that follower button, please do. See if we can punch that on up. We have 53 subscribers on Twitch at this point. A subscriber and a member on YouTube gives you privileges that Robert can talk about.
Doc.
Just passed you the ball. Are you going to fumble the ball or are you going to carry it to the goal line?
Sorry, I was looking at something. What did you say? So I fumbled the ball entirely. Now say it again.
I just said membership has its privileges. Subscribership has its privileges.
Oh. Yeah, we'll talk about that before we talk about our failing nuclear power plant that's about to melt down.
Really?
We're
Again?
back down to 155 gigawatts. Megawatt. Yeah, 155 gigawatts.
Okay, is it the concrete problem outside?
I'm gonna go check. So yeah, big members kind of awesome. The first big thing is they're on Discord. Join our Discord. The members have a couple of their very own forums where you guys can chat and share things. We have a members only Discord server, Minecraft server, which at any given time there's a half dozen people playing on, which has been a lot of fun. It's only a couple weeks old. People are still very, very early in the game. Doc has yet to go fight the Ender Dragon, which will happen soonish. So if you'd like to come join us, become a member, either on YouTube or a subscriber on Twitch, and it'd be fun to have you there. Let's see. And then on Fridays, we also have a members-only stream. That's where Doc actually records his episodes. And those episodes are Friday afternoons. And we record those and while we're hanging out on Discord. And it's a lot of fun. So yeah, please join our Discord, become a member. and help support the channel. Yeah, it's awesome.
All righty. Very, very good.
Now I'm gonna go and figure out why everything's melting down.
Okay.
It's probably the concrete.
If it is the concrete, then we've got to do something about the concrete manufacturing that was happening just outside the Gigafactory. We got to replace that somehow,
Yeah.
so that we can drop some off. Maybe what we do is put a drone, put that drone that was picking up and delivering to the to the nuclear power plant, put that over somewhere, on top of one of the two concrete manufacturing places, so we can take some of that over to the nuclear power plant.
Oh, okay.
Robert, did you read my messages and remembered?
I read your message, and well, no, we did some fixing yesterday, but we weren't able to fully go all the way through, follow it through. And so I read your message and went to check. Because last we left it off, we had a temporary fix, and I just didn't come back and make sure that the concrete was being delivered properly. So I'm now checking to see if the concrete is being delivered properly, and we will see what happens.
If not, I can run outside the factory. In fact, we probably ought to just take care of it. Probably ought to just not fuss with it anymore. Just take care of it permanently.
Well, I'm here. There's still a bunch more left, but the drone just doesn't have enough fuel.
Okay, do we need to get... Is the travel too far for the rocket fuel?
Maybe.
Because I know it's getting fuel at the nuclear power plant.
Yeah, but I don't know if I don't know if this drone ever made a full round trip. It's not
Okay.
very far. I don't know if it made just don't know if it made a full round trip or not.
Okay, so you might have filled one drone, but not the second drone. Maybe the second drone was still hovering up there or something. Didn't have enough for both.
Yep, the second drone is hovering above it. That's the issue.
Okay. I just wish we had the reverse dimensional depots.
Uh-huh.
Ones that would allow us to put it in a dimensional depot in one place and take it out of a dimensional depot in another place.
That's exactly the kind of thing that they say will never happen that eventually happens 5 years later.
That they say will never happen, but happen 5 years later.
Oh.
You do not get to say that. Icy Knight says.
What? Get to say what? Jason says, yeah, you should take care of that before the Gigafactory consumes the rest of the power with its lights. Yeah. Wait, it was Robert who disagreed with the decode outputs, but yeah.
Okay. So, I already have stores made for copper, wire at this point, or just wire. So I'm going to throw down a store for wire, and the question is, do I put it over with my mini stores on the opposite corner, or do I put it with the large factories that I'm making on the corner where I made the modular frames and the on the or do I put it over where I made the modular frames and the reinforced iron plates?
I think we should do it on... yeah, just near where you're currently building stuff.
Okay. Where I'm currently doing stuff?
Yeah.
And not over where I've got the little ones.
No, because the little one shouldn't have been over there.
Oh, they shouldn't have.
Nope.
Okay. So am I going to eventually deconstruct those and put them over here?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, down goes a blueprint for a
Okay.
wire store.
And Spectral Shades first time chat.
Yeah. And he asked how to get on the server, and Trumpkin answered.
Yep.
Subscribe to Twitch, and for $2.99 a month, you get to come play with us.
Yep. And both Trumpkin and Trumpkin's there all the time. So is names, man. And so is Gauntlegram there all the time. Ice Knight's been on there quite a bit as well. So yeah, there's basically all the regulars who are in Twitch chat right now are on
there
Minecraft
quite
server.
often. Anyway.
And Mr. Jaro says hi there. He's on our Minecraft server too.
Alrighty. So the wire store has ingot input of 600 and the wire output is 1200. Yeah.
And by the way, guys, this week is a Minecraft week for us. So this is going to be our last Satisfactory stream for the week. And Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to be playing Minecraft on Doc's server. And anybody who's currently playing on the server can come and hang out and play at the same time. And then Friday's episode for members only on our Discord channel will also be the very same.
Well, SpectroSage said a little bit tight on funds at the moment, but that's okay. Did follow on Twitch. Appreciate that. Got a scan hard drive by Trumpkin. And if anybody wants to, can you gift a specific person?
Yes, you can.
If anybody would like to gift Spectral Shades a membership for the month, feel free to do that. Because he might enjoy it to the point where we can let him play, and he might find that cash. Okay. So I need to go out to the okay. Okay, so wow, that was my phone. It was an unidentified phone number calling me. So let's go to voicemail if they want to talk to me. Okay, so I need to go out to the to my blueprinter and make a copper sheet store. I need I need some copper ingots over to this side of the building, if you could. I forget what side of the building I'm on, so I have to come to the window and look. Oh, they left a message.
Oh, good. You're on the east side there.
Yep, looking out at the mountains and the lake.
If you go down to the logistics floor, you will see 4 loads. Well, cool. Megalith gifted a subscription to Spectral Shades 3. Awesome. Spectral Shades. If you get into our Discord and you have and you have it linked up with your Twitch account, it will automatically give you membership. It'll give you access to members only sections. And there you want to go to the Minecraft section where it says server permissions and let us know your Minecraft username. This is for Minecraft Java Edition, Java Edition Best Edition. And I will get you added to the server.
Okay, I'm on the logistics floor. This 4 sets of ports here, are those all copper?
Yes, sir. If you
Okay.
can use the one farthest to the south first, that'd be best because the first two that are on the south are primary.
Okay. Okay.
And Ben from YouTube just subscribed to Tier 1. Awesome.
Fantastic.
That means that we're going to have Ben on our server as well as Spectral Shades.
Fantastic. 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 And did you go ahead and put the link in Twitch also? I see it popped up in YouTube, but not Twitch.
I will drop it again just so you guys can get it. Okay, how do you link your Discord? If you have your Discord open, bottom left-hand corner, click on User Settings. On the left-hand panel, under, again, User Settings, you're going to scroll down to, let's see, Connections. It's like this 8th one of the list. And in the Connections section, you'll see your connected accounts. You might see YouTube there. You might see a bunch of other links. But connect that to Twitch, and it will automatically grant you the proper permissions. And I have the server permissions section open up, so as soon as somebody posts in there, I can get you guys taken care of immediately. Oh, now this is weird. Yesterday when I was here, we were so overstocked on uranium waste. We were overflowing. Now there's none, so there's a problem. Probably not getting uranium. Ruh-roh. There's sulfur, yep. Ruh-roh. This is why drones are bad. Drones are bad.
Wow, this is going to be hard.
What's up?
With these so compact together and having to move them clear to the other side of the factory, it's going to be hard logistically to get this many conveyors to the other side of the factory with the iron being here.
What do you mean by to the other side?
I need to go from here over to that side.
Okay, so down by one section.
Yes.
Okay.
So does that mean that you should move those down a section, or do I just deal with it and next time you'll put them further down, or what?
That's where they kind of have to come up because that's where the copper is.
Okay.
So, sorry, if I wasn't currently trying to monitor the uranium,
Yeah, that's fine.
I could come help make them prettier.
I will get it figured out.
Okay.
Okay. I thought they were ceiling ones. Okay.
Well, I'm waiting for the uranium to arrive. They say it's a 5-minute round trip,
5 minutes?
which is seems long,
Yeah,
but
that does seem long.
so Ben, if you go to the server permissions channel, it's under Minecraft. How far is it in for the drone? Very short.
That's why it shouldn't be 5 minutes.
By very short, I mean the cave where he's getting it from is underneath the mountain that the factory is on top of.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's definitely something else going on. So I have to go find that stinking cave again.
Good luck. I mean, good luck. It's not easy to find.
Yeah, check the fuel source. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to the other drone port, check the fuel source over there. Okay, Ben found us on Discord. Excellent. It's entirely possible I got some other fuel mixed in.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that what you're finding is the case?
Yeah. Okay. Ben is in. You can now log into the server. You should have invites. So we are using Minecraft Realms for right now, using a whitelist. So when you become a member on Twitch or a subscriber on YouTube or subscriber on Twitch, you you click on Minecraft Realms and you will have an invite from the server to join.
So it was a uranium supply problem?
Yeah, the uranium drone is not droning. Oh darn, I thought I got super lucky. The very first cave was the right one. Nope. Let's see. Ben says, thanks for the invite. Found the invite, and I'll join in the next few days. Right now I have to get some power going in Satisfactory. Sure thing.
Cool. Yep.
We do have a map there in that same form where you signed up that has places kind of sectioned off into plots. and choose one that hasn't been claimed and let us know. You can spend a few days on the server and explore and whatever. You don't have to choose one immediately. And let us know where you want to build, and that way we'll make sure that nobody touches toes without wanting to. Oh, this cave, Dad. I don't know where the cave is.
You need me to pull a map over?
Yeah, if you could.
So yeah, let me pull over yesterday's. Huh. Oh, I should be able to pull it over
Yeah, we can just use the.
without having a save.
Yep.
Then again, let me at least put on the resource nodes. Turn off everything except uranium. Okay.
I'm not seeing any uranium at all. Is uranium on?
Yes, uranium is on. Why am I not seeing any uranium nodes? That works a little better. Okay.
Okay, so that's the node that's on the screen right now.
Exactly. And you got to go clear over here to get into it.
Okay, can you swap to the in-game map?
The in-game map? Okay.
No. In Satisfactory Planner.
Okay. Go ahead and drop my map.
No. Map, go to...
I got you. I think
Switch to map layers on the right. And change the other map. That's what it looks like in the in-game map.
okay.
It's over
so it's
there.
over there. Yeah, I had to go
Oh.
quite a ways in here. Then our plant is just up above here.
Okay. I went west of the plant, not east of the plant.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, you have to go kind of south and east to the plant. Okay.
Cool.
Think,
Okay.
You think you can find it? If you can't, I'll throw the map back over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I find from here. And Ben says, how do we get explosives so I can unlock the Caterium node? What you're looking for is the Nobelisk. Okay. And that's all MAM research. Yep, for sulfur. Iconite's got the answers. Iconite's very good at giving quick answers on Twitch and YouTube. So thank you.
So Tiki Gatu asks a question. He says, I'm curious of something. How do I apply paint so I don't have to keep applying the color, let's say, to a pipe, if that makes sense? Absolutely makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can demo that. So you go to your, builder here, and it's this customizer up here. And up here you've got colors. And you've got these swatches. So here's your pipeline swatches. Here's your concrete. Here's foundations, project assembly parts, and then a factory swatch, which is just kind of your general purpose swatch over everything. So if you want to color your pipelines a certain amount, you just highlight over here and click edit, and it'll change your pipelines to a particular swatch color, and keep on playing with it until you get the right one. Okay. Hope that helps. Okay, and it does make sense, yes. Yeah, we notice we've got specific colors for various different things. So, okay, I am going to this particular hole right here. So I'm just going to keep drawing these down here.
Oh, we did get a scan of hard drive from Icy Knight that I'm working on.
Okay.
So sorry, we were looking at the map when you redeemed it. So oh, no rewards available again. Okay, guys, we did this yesterday. We're gonna have to do it again today.
All
I'm gonna
right.
take over the stream for a second.
Yeah.
What you guys see are a bunch of hard drives.
Okay. Recycled plastic? Do we believe in recycling?
Recycling? Ugh.
Okay. And then we got an alternate called charcoal. Bolted. I don't know.
So whatever
So we
reason-
might as well go find concrete there because I'll never choose bolted iron plate. Top one.
Instant. Okay, well, instant scrap was chosen. What did you say, Doc? Oh,
I was thinking the top one. We'll never choose bolted and increase our screw usage. So we might as well go do fine concrete.
Okay. Recycled plastic, please. They say recycled plastic. Okay.
Okay. And
Fine concrete. Yep, we did that one. Steel screw. Okay.
yeah, that's an alternate. That's an alternate for making screws, Robert. That might be
turbo
actually
heavy
useful
fuel.
sometimes.
Okay. Oil-based diamonds.
Oily diamonds, huh?
Diluted pack fuel. Oh, steel screw, set price, diluted pack fuel.
Yeah, 3 more down from where you are.
No.
Diluted
fuel.
packaged fuel. Well,
Cloudy
when we get to needing to make those things, we'll see the alternate and we'll be able to choose between them. Figure out which one works for the time.
Deuterium wire.
I'm not even seeing.
Oh
these.
no, we already selected it 19. It says please no.
Okay. Why would that have been a no?
OC supercomputer.
The what? OC supercomputer. Okay, float your mouse over the other computers so that we can kind of
So
see
it's
the
an
difference.
overclock supercomputer because you need a cooling system. The original one requires four items. It requires a manufacturer.
Ooh,
Versus this only needs an assembler,
I like that one.
which is nice.
Yeah, I like that one. Production rate 3 per minute versus the other production rates are
One.
1.875 and 2.4. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's faster too.
Yeah, but it uses a cooling system, which it does take some work.
Yeah, the cooling system requires manufacturers to make, I believe. All right.
So Master Block 4 asks, how do you get those neon cyan conveyor belts?
Those are Mark 6 conveyors.
Scroll down to the bottom, see if there's any here that you guys want. And we'll do a couple more.
Okay. We've got we've got a bunch of rescans remaining on any of those. So if we don't like what we see there, we can rescan. Turbo pressure motor, automated speed wiring. Done now.
Okay.
I didn't say to choose it.
Oh, well, Ben said to do it.
Oh, okay.
Then again, Ben's admittedly on tier 2, so, you know.
Okay. Well, he might have played all the way through it once too.
That's true.
So what did you just unlock?
Polymer resin. And a plastic AI limiter.
A plastic AI
People have said
limiter.
it twice. I don't see it.
Is it up from where you're at?
Did I scroll past it?
There it is.
There we go.
Eventually, you just have everything unlocked, right?
Oh, you completed phase 3. I'm sorry. I apologize, Ben. You're on phase 2, not tier 2. I misspoke. Okay, you know what, guys? We'll come back to this later. We've unlocked a whole bunch more.
Okay.
Hopefully that should
see if you can do
give us
new hard
something
drive
that can
now.
actually scan again.
Yeah. See if. Okay. Good.
There we go.
And I have 12 more I can throw in the depot.
Cool.
So. Which I think I'll go ahead and take care of at the moment, right now.
So Tony No Montana asked a great question that both Redstone Ninja and Spacebird have helped to answer. It asks,
Okay.
how many foundations can fluids travel upwards? And Redstone Ninja got it correct. Infinite technically. But as Spacebird says, machines initially have a 10-meter uplift, but normally you put some pumps before that and you can lift it. Each pump can raise it
Another
quite a
20, I
bit
think, isn't
higher.
it?
And we have a short on the water tower. That's one of our earlier shorts. If you watch the water tower, that's a great way of taking care of head lift, so you don't really have to worry about it later on.
Yepper. All right.
Okay, now I gotta finish my task so I can get out of this cave.
You found it? Was it
Yeah, I fell in the cave.
was it low on fuel again?
Well, I'm approaching now. Yep, just not enough fuel.
Crud. Okay.
It hadn't swapped over to the new fuel type.
Oh, okay. We keep finding more and more of those. When we swap over to a new fuel, I don't know how we can do it better than we did it, but we've got to figure out how to do it better. Wouldn't you think?
Yep. And Master Block asks the perennial question: Mega factory or modular factory?
Depends on the situation.
Well, currently we're working on a Gigafactory that is 120 foundations square and 6 floors high. And each floor has its own transport layer as well as logistics layer. And then we have an entire labyrinth built below that, a 2-floor labyrinth. So currently we are on the Mega Factory. But
But we have modular factories all around our properties. So yeah, it's not like we've completely abandoned the idea of a mega factory. We just of a modular factory. We do have them when they're appropriate. Is basically the way to say it.
yep. And Tiki Godu asks, are you guys all playing Design of the Factory together, or is there a lead designer?
I'm basically the lead designer. I kind of drive the design. In other words, I was the one that chose the place for the Gigafactory. I generally put the original foundation out. I actually drew a foundation that was much bigger than this at first, and we've decided to scale it back so we could go upward. But you can see, even with it scaled back, it's huge as far as a floor footprint. But at this point, what Garrett has planned 7 floors total. So basically, I've designed that, and then Robert and I together have designed a lot of the logistics. He tends to take the lead on the logistics of getting product to and from the factories where it needs to go. And we've worked an awful lot with him having experience in all the things that could go wrong. Not that he's bad. It's just that we've done trial and error for quite a while now on all the things that worked and didn't work. Need at least 14 with conveyor floors under each floor. Well, there are conveyor floors under each floor and a hypertube floor under each floor. So there are 7 plus another 2 for each floor. So you could say that there's 21 floors if you wanted. So
Yeah, there you go.
okay, so we've got it this far, and I'm just going to draw out the conveyors. Oh, Kamama Ducks getting on her trusty steed out there, starting to mow.
It's that time of year again.
Oh, it's that time of year where you're just constantly mowing.
And we're all just crossing our fingers and hoping we can get to finishing the factory without the entire game crashing.
Well, we're definitely testing the limits of Coffee Stain's ability to paint graphics and to keep the save file at a decent size and on and on and on. So
Yeah. Icy Knight is upset that you're clipping.
yes, I did clip.
That's fine. What Doc's putting in right now
I did clip.
might be altered anyway. Um, because I'm going to be hauling a bunch more stuff through there, so I'll be adjusting it, making sure everything's great.
Yes, Robert, this is the clipping he's talking about here.
Oh,
Is that I have this up port that has to cross from the iron over here, but I need to take all three of these ports over there, and there just isn't enough room for a fourth layer up here. I mean, see,
Yep.
even the port from the ceiling brings it down to that level.
yep.
So,
So yeah, and I'll be altering all those, so all the north-south belts are on the floor later anyway. So it's all good.
you mean you're going to put smack all of these down to the floor, even though I put towers here so I could avoid the other, the other 618 belts that I need to bring through this area?
Yep. Because north-south goes on the floor.
More power to you.
It's all good.
If you can figure it out, you're better than me. That's why Robert kind of takes the lead on the logistics.
And Voxel is here, says, "Good morning, Doc."
And good morning to you. Okay, so I now have copper. I now have copper going into the factory there.
And Master Block has another great question.
Uh-huh.
How do you deal with having to split resource into unequal amounts, like 200 into 50 and 150?
250 into, okay. Multiple factories. A math term called least common multiple comes into play there. Like, for example, you have a mine that does 300, a miner that does 300 output, and you've got a smelter that only takes 100. You put 3 smelters there. Or if you haven't unlocked overclocking or underclocking, you overclock or underclock to make them equal. Or you put, like I said, multiple smelters. So let's say the smelter only uses 100. You put 3 smelters there to the one miner. And then if you get unequal ones, like you get one that does, what's one of those, some of those odd amounts that we have occasionally, where it doesn't go into that. Like 100 goes into 300 really easy. But then you get something like 125 and you got 300 output and it goes into this thing that takes 125. Then you've got a least common multiple issue where you have to take and divide them down to their common multiple and then build them up to where you get an equal number of machines to the equal number of machines outputting to inputting. So it becomes a math problem at that point. That's sometimes gets kind of wicked.
Let me show you a quick solution to that specific given problem. Okay. Doc was giving kind of the whole theory, but if you're looking just to split 200 into 50 and 150, the nice thing is 200 into 50, 150, 50 is 25%, 50 is 75%. So splitter, split into 100, 100. One side splits to 50, 50. This side splits to 50, 50. So we have 3 50s. You combine 3 of the 50s, and that lane will now have 75. Or,
Three
sorry,
of the
3 50s, that lane will now have 150,
150,
and that lane will have 50. right? So if you're looking just to do with a single conveyor, that's a whole lot simpler. If you're looking to balance the whole system, Doc kind of give you the theoretical version for the whole system. But if you're looking for just a single one, it'll work like that. But best off is just split it and let it overflow.
Yep.
Yeah, because overflow will fix all this anyway.
Okay, so I've got a wire store. The ingot input is 1200 at this point, so it's going to have, it's not going to take all of this particular input. I may end up splitting it depending on the next store that I put in here. And I'm going to go create a blueprint for a copper sheet store. And then I'll put that one in. Get that flowing to your mall. Stir.
Hey, Spectral Shades, I pinged you the name of the section there on Discord.
Now, server permissions is for MC.
Yep.
Do we still have the server permissions? Server permissions is for MC.
Yep.
Do we still have the server information for the Satisfactory server still out there that we haven't used in forever?
It's still there. It's still operable. We haven't touched it in quite a while.
All right. I get lost as to what part of the building I'm in, fortunately.
Yeah, the labeling hasn't continued, has it?
No. Garrett's off writing his book. Okay, I'm at this side of the...
By golly.
By golly. But he's writing 2,000 plus words a day, so sometimes even more, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and he committed to doing a pretty major writing session today, so...
And there is the mall, and if the mall is there, then my blueprinter's over there. They say this makes it go faster, but I don't see how making it go any faster. I don't know. Okay, here we go to my blueprinter. Got to be careful running around here. I might get run over by a truck. Then you'd have to put up the counter again. How many times does Doc die in a stream?
Icy Knight says, I could probably write 2,000 words a day with a long enough and rage-inducing enough doc stream.
A rage-inducing doc stream?
Oof.
Oof. Okay. All right. I am going to make a...
Tiki Goto, this is with Blade Runner, right? Doc has the Blade Runner.
Yep, I've got Blade Runners on now.
And still...
It just takes forever to get from one place to the next. I guess maybe what would make it easier is if the hypertubes were all marked, so I knew I could get up on the moving sidewalks. That maybe it would be a little easier to use the walkways.
Nuclear power is slowly coming back online.
Okay. I mean, it was starved of uranium. And that's going to be a slow go because uranium is the very start of the process.
Yeah.
All righty. Okay. Okay, now I need to select the recipe and select alternate deuterium wire, huh? You can use deuterium ingots to make wire. You can use copper ingots to make wire and get 75 per minute. Deuterium to make wire and get 300 per minute.
And Apollo's here. Says, "Good morning, Doc. I'm over on Twitch today instead of YouTube."
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
Good morning, Apollo.
Did we wait till we get deuterium to make a wire?
To do deuterium wire instead of...
Yeah,
No.
I mean the difference is, 120 per minute out of 15 deuterium ingot versus 30 per minute out of 15 copper
Oh,
ingot.
gosh. Yeah. The thing is, we have a massive quantity of copper.
Yeah, we do.
And with the pure copper ingot recipe now, our quantities can massively improve, right?
So basically I'm thinking for this one that is just servicing the mall, we just make a conventional recipe here.
Yeah, there you go. You know, the insane part is, we go through this whole process for the nuclear power plant, and like I'm watching, we're making encased uranium cells, we're making plenty, but we have to completely overload the entire manifold of uh, of blenders making the uranium fuel rods, and that's going to take 10 minutes. Then when that's finished, when that's finally overloaded manifold production, then all the nuclear power plants, each of them has to overload, and we have 15 of those, and finally when the last one's finally loading properly, then we'll have stage 1 of 3 fully operational. That's going to get us all the way up to the 250 gigawatt power level ish. And then it goes over to the next level of refinement. And that's going to take an increasing amount of time. Like, basically, the server has to be on for a good 20 hours before it gets back up to full production.
Yeah.
And that's the downside of manifolds.
So you're not just talking the uranium production, the power plant production, which is going to take probably an equivalent amount of time just because of the cascading effect of uranium processed into uranium waste, processed into the next plutonium, processed into fixite after that.
Okay.
Which is also kind of the same issue in a different context.
Yep. Icy Knight says, I forget, does the stream tomorrow start at 9 or 12?
Well, how about if we reprogram your memory? Because I think we had decided that we were doing it at 12, but we have decided to start.
Tomorrow's Wednesday, so it's at 9.
So it's at 9. Not enough memory to open this page. Okay.
Your computer just had that error?
My studio, the streaming page on the studio said not enough memory to open this page.
Uh-oh.
And it says, welcome to live chat. For some reason, the chat window started over. Okay. Twitch doesn't let the stream keep playing when I lock my phone, but YouTube does. Ah, so Apollo jumped back over to YouTube. Okay.
Yes, Doc has a crazy amount of RAM. So
That seems odd that I'd get a memory error. Unless the system
it's
is
a memory allocation error.
Yeah.
The app wasn't given enough memory to operate.
One thing I noticed with this is that I had set the overflow. I had not reset the overflow smart splitter here to be copper ingots for the copper wire.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm going to have to go modify the one I've already placed down, and then modify the other blueprint to make sure that, it accepts the copper ingots instead of iron ingots only.
And Kiko just realized that you can copy settings from one machine to the next. Yep.
Yep, you
It's one of the
can.
many undocumented hotkeys and tips all over this game.
Yep.
Okay, and Ben is heading out for the day.
Okay.
So he said he'll be here tomorrow on server and on the stream.
Okay.
Cool. And tomorrow, we will be doing a community event on the Minecraft server for the first time. So if you guys can actually play during that time, that would be awesome. That goes to all of our members.
Okay. So our input for copper is 50 per minute times 16 machines. Input is 800 ingots. And our output is half of that. So that would be 400.
And Captcha just resubscribed on Twitch. Been here for 4 months now.
All right. Thanks for your dedication. Appreciate that.
And the great artist is here saying, hey, Doug.
Hi, great artist. Appreciate you coming. Oh, man. You'd think I'd been hauling stuff out in my yard all day.
I'm actually getting a bit warm. What do you think, Doc?
Yeah, we can cool it off again. Just changing it from cool to... What yard work did you do? I actually didn't do any yard work yesterday. I'll grab my drink. Okay, Icy Night. Can't do all at once. Okay. I didn't actually do any yard work yesterday. Basically, we've been picking up and cleaning up trees that we've chopped down that have been dead trees, and thinning out some of the forest and chopping those down. And we're just cutting up the limbs and getting them, getting the limbs burned, getting the trunks stacked as firewood. Garrett's been working a lot to get wood chopped for firewood. I've got a pretty good stack going for next winter season. Um, so it's going pretty good there. Um, I've got a house to build, and now they're to the point of putting in the electrical. So I'm going to be since they've got a roof on and it's staying mostly dry inside, I'm going to be able to start pulling wire for that and getting the outside electrical box and getting the electric company in and things like that. So Robert and Garrett's house, they do have a fireplace that they burn wood in. We don't in our house, and the new house we're building won't be burning firewood there either.
All of our houses are old 1920s stone buildings, and while Doc's house has been modernized, ours hasn't much, and so it does have central air, but it is very old and very poor. So it works for us about till the end of December, and then when it starts getting below freezing, then it's like, okay, time to supplement, and it's that point we start using the firewood. So yeah, we need a good amount of firework for the last month or so of winter. So
Yeah, and it always helps when I get, and they're on a what they call a heat pump. So even though it air conditions fairly well during the summer, doesn't it, Robert? It just doesn't
oh
heat
yeah,
really well during the winter.
yeah.
And the the reason why it doesn't heat very well during the winter, that should be 400. Okay, fine. What in the world just happened? Um, well, okay. That didn't paste. Didn't copy well. Um, anyway, so it doesn't heat well in the winter when the weather gets below freezing, because heat pumps just don't work well when it gets below freezing.
Yeah.
So it's simply a matter of the fireplaces there for those uh, extra cold days. So
Megalith asks, why are 75% of the Americans I know from Texas?
'cause-
I think that I was thinking of two answers, and Great Artist gave both of them. First is because every Texan is very proud to be Texan, will tell you they're Texan. Everybody else just says, yeah, I'm from the U.S., kind of the middle part, or from the East Coast. No, Texans will tell you they're from Texas. And they're also massive and have a lot of people.
yeah, Texas is the largest state in the union, isn't it? By geography, maybe
I
Alaska
think
might be
Alaska's bigger,
bigger,
actually. But nobody lives in Alaska. Like, nobody.
unless you want to live north of the Arctic Circle, pretty much.
Yeah, Alaska's bigger, but not by much. And Epic Louder asks, are you a father and son team? Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are.
And usually, 3 out of the 5 days a week, we have Garrett along with us, and he's my younger brother. So, yeah, it's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
Working together.
All right, we have a copper store.
And by the way, Samuel last name is back. He says, back again. Please don't make me late for work again, Doc.
Oh, I'll try not to. Yeah, the great artist says Alaska is the biggest,
Yeah.
but definitely not by population. By population, California, I think, exceeds Texas.
Yep.
But if California doesn't get its act together, it's not going to be for long.
Yeah.
California and New York are the two biggest by population. Replying to the great artist, which city is he from? I want to clear the blueprint designer, and I want to load a blueprint.
And Massive Gaming on YouTube says, hi, Doc. Really enjoying your shorts, especially train signals.
Okay.
That was a tricky one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a bit of learning to get that one down. and figure that out. Now, I think I've got a pretty good handle on the train signals now.
And like Shadek on YouTube says, just found you guys. Love the content. Keep up the good work, Doc.
Welcome. Thank you for the compliment.
Arcut Hasriel said, the siblings bickering is particularly amusing. The Doc continued exacerbation sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Garrett and I have fun. We've been Garrett and I are good friends too, in addition to being brothers. But oh no, Great Artist says, I think the sibling energy is your brand now. Oh no.
The sibling energy is my brand. Yeah, could be. Could be, yeah. When loading a blueprint, does it take from the crate to load the blueprint?
I do not think so.
That would be an interesting question to know.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just going to leave that stuff there.
Yeah.
All right, I need to go up to the second floor again.
Is there anything I need to do? Oh, I guess I need to plug some stuff into the mall, right?
Yeah, you need to get that mall stuff in, if you
Yeah.
could. Yeah, that was the one thing we talked about that was on your plate today.
Yeah. Well, now that I finished all the copper stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Archon says, yes, it does take from there. For the blueprinter.
Oh, good. Well,
And Megalith says, Robert, the amount of rail work I did just so far, just my aluminum farm, is a lot. Huh. Is it really far away or something?
yeah. Rails can get to be pretty challenging, especially if you've got rough terrain to push them over. So,
And Icy Knight says, the amount of rail work I did not do at all for my aluminum farm is amazing. Okay, then.
my avoidance techniques are honed to a skill. A skill worth replicating, obviously.
And Kiko, first time chat on Twitch, says,
All right.
I've still not used trains, only conveyors. Someday, maybe I'll use them.
Yeah. That is a leap. And frankly, the trains can carry enough that eventually you'll want to use trains because it'll move more product more conveniently than conveyors. So, okay, so we now have the copper and it's working. Now time for a copper sheet factory.
Okay, I'm scanning the hard drive.
Blueprint. Oh, we hit 720 for followers. Even more than a Mark 6 conveyor. Yeah, actually, yes.
The big deal is that each train car has 2 inputs and 2 outputs.
Mm-hmm.
So you can technically move them. You can input and output twice as fast into the stations themselves, and it just depends on the distance. And you can always add in more trains.
How do you do? How do you do? How do you host your servers? Um, we talk about the Satisfactory server. We built a server that's actually to my left here. Um, we built a server that we went and got the specifications. We just built a machine. We put an old video card on it because all we need to do is see what the input output is. We stocked it with 64 gigs of memory and an i3 because it had the highest thread throughput. Thread what?
Single-threaded rating.
Single thread rating, so that it would, because I guess Satisfactory isn't multi-threaded for some reason.
It technically is multi-threaded, but everybody says it's really poor at multi-threading. So
Okay. So we just got the specs. We built the server. So it's just, and it was an inexpensive server too, because with the i3, that was cheap. The memory isn't all that expensive. We plagiarized a video card that we had just laying around, and we got a motherboard that was no, Satisfactory really only needs 32 gigs. We basically just built the minimal amount of machine, except for I just couldn't deal with the idea of having less than 64 gigs of memory at least.
yeah, we all know that Doc has a problem with memory.
And it's not that I don't remember things, it's just that I like a lot of memory in my machines. That's why I have 128 in my machine. So, and considering an upgrade here soon.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
You going? You going? Okay. I'm not considering an upgrade. So
No.
does Robert.
No, he is not. It is not being considered.
Guess what? So if it comes in the mail, does that mean I can't install it because I'm not considering it? No, I don't have any new memory ordered.
Megalith says, I'm struggling with 16 gigs of RAM here. Oof. Yeah, 16's...
Yeah, 16's kind of slim. You got to run Windows first before you can really run anything else. And you starve Windows too much and it doesn't perform.
Kiko says he'll soon have more RAM than NASA computers. Yes.
No, that doesn't take much.
How many
Especially
sticks
when-
of RAM do you have and how many slots?
There's usually 4 slots on a motherboard. Nowadays, it's kind of standardized at 4 slots. And
Yep.
so we have, for the 64, we've got 4 16 gig chips. Or no, we got 2 slots, 2 32 gig chips, so we don't have the second 2 filled
Yeah, on the server, yeah.
on the server, yeah.
And he did that after I recommended 32 gigs. And I recommended 32 gigs because the recommendation for a server is have 16. So like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do Doc a solid, and I'm gonna make it 32 to make Doc happy. And he looks at it and says, we're gonna make it 64.
I thought you said the recommendation was 32.
No. I think you're conveniently remembering differently, so you can justify more memory.
There's It's very easy to justify more memory.
Hey, Caffeinated. He says I might be a little late. Had some AC maintenance people over. How's it going?
So far, it's going good. We're building copper-related stores at the moment. So, how are you going to get this much copper over to this side and have them all be on the floor? I just cannot conceive of it. Uh-oh. That line just ran out of copper. Wow. Robert, that line just ran out of copper.
Yeah, there's some inconsistencies at the copper tower I gotta fix.
Oh.
Haven't needed to because we haven't used it till today.
Okay. Okay. So, where is... There it is.
Caffeine says, I see. Today's stream is sponsored by Oops, All Copper.
Okay, sponsored by Oops All. All right, that one is now taking on.
I see. This it'll look cool when you have when you hit 1.1 have curved belts.
Yeah, that will be cool. And we need power. We need this to find
Garbage. How did
power.
that? Argon Azrael says, "Oh, holy lag! Building blueprints on my laptop. I had 4 rendering at the same time." Yeah, Doc and I always know when Garrett's building a new floor because the whole game just hitches. It's like, "Oh, hey Garrett, are you doing something right now?" "Yeah, I'm just building." "Oh, okay."
Or no, yeah, I'm just reshading everything in the world.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's one thing to watch out for is your shading will tend to diminish your performance significantly.
We got a great question from Like Shadic. It says, "Do you guys have any tips on how to deal with burnout when playing Satisfactory? I love playing, but find myself getting burnt out quick these days."
The more difficult it gets, the more easy it is to get burnt out. Taking a break or stepping back from it and just thinking about it for a while really helps. I don't get burnt out because I tend to love the mental aspect of the game. Thus, you see the complexity that's developed because I thrive on that complexity and figuring things out. Robert, on the other hand, tends to get bogged down when it gets really mathematical, and he has experienced burnout probably more prevalently than I have. So,
Yeah, like right now, I'm totally done with this game. I'm totally done. I'm only playing because we're with Doc. I'm so over this game.
so he looks forward to those Minecraft weeks, and
Yeah.
I'm still working on figuring out the complexity of Minecraft, and to me, Minecraft is still on a frustrating level. So, okay, so what else can I make with copper? Okay, let's go to my good friend, Satisfactory Calculator. Good news, new version of Interactive Map is released. Please refresh your page and your browser cache. You get the new updates. So I'm going to refresh the page. Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see what the changes are on the interactive map. But um, okay, I need the Satisfactory wiki for this. Okay, to see what I can make with copper. Okay. Usage. Satisfactory wiki is pretty neat when it comes to this section. Although this basically I can do I can make the copper powder in a constructor. Should I make copper powder here, or should I just rely on my I've got a huge copper powder.
Yeah, we have a massive copper powder plant.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to make copper powder in here. I'll run a train by it, bring it on in. In fact, it's right next to a train, and it's being brought into the mega factory right now. I can bring it here instead later on. I don't think I use it for much, but when I need it, I'll bring it over here. Other than that, I need to find some downstream items. So I'm going to.
I'm going to take over stream a little bit as well. Just I have a quick comment when it comes to the question of burnout.
Okay.
Doc, have you seen a chart like this before?
Yes. Yes.
So to describe it to people who might have not have seen something like this is describing the what's called the flow state, where when you're doing a task where your skill level and the challenge you're meeting are about equal, you enter in a flow state, okay, where you are constantly learning and growing and doing new things and learning new things, and it's very engaging. This is when you're playing a game and you just lose hours, is when you're kind of in that flow state.
Flow channel. I mean,
Yeah.
as they show on here.
If your skill level's too high and the challenge is increasing along with it, you become bored. And if this challenge is going up too fast for your skill level, you can become frustrated or anxious or angry.
And that's where burnout occurs.
Yeah, and to be honest, burnout can happen on both ends. Burnout can be, I'm just bored. I've been playing this game way too much. And that's honestly where I'm at with a lot of these the Gigafactory, and where people can happen when you're trying to build. I think Icy Knight mentioned trying to make a massive power plant where there's so much building the same exact thing. It's not hard. It's just a ton of building. That's where boredom happens, right? So you can just kind of burn out on there. But you can also get burned out and frustrated, and a lot of my frustration comes from this top end of I have to make sure everything we build doesn't mess up what we're building down the line. And I have to build systems for stuff I've never seen before. And so I'm constantly building a system to make sure that things are still fine in 6 months, right? And that's where a lot of my frustration comes from, where I have to make sure everything works, and I have to make sure that Doc understands it. The same thing I'm understanding is that communication layer adds that frustration and the difficulty.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's understanding it in the same way when there aren't words to explain it because it's being newly learned.
Yeah, exactly.
And Robert and I have had frustrating times just in the communication part of that process.
Yeah. And we're both just guessing at this point with a lot of this stuff. Guessing what's right, guessing what the right solution is for stuff. So, that's kind of how I personally perceive a lot of these issues. So,
Okay.
anyway.
Wow. Nice chart. Don't know where you found it, but nice chart. Okay. I'm going to come down here to usage. That's right. I was going to make I was going to make cable next. Good. I can make a cable. We can mass manufacture jetpacks if we wanted, but you can only do it in equipment workshop. Darn it.
Yeah. Well, make sure you're looking at our mall and comparing our mall to that chart. Oh, mall spreadsheet.
That's right. I can go ahead and mark off cable, make that bold. Actually, I can make it italics because it hasn't italicize it because it hasn't made it into the
Okay.
into the area yet. And I made copper sheet, good wire. I haven't done cable yet. I gotta undo that. Okay. But can you take over the stream for a moment, and I
Yes,
will go
sir.
refill the gas in the tractor for Mom to keep going.
Sure. You guys can come watch as I string these conveyors down here on the bottom floor all the way across. This is the first floor of the labyrinth. Way over there goes the train stations you're seeing way down there. That's what I was working on right over there with the copper stuff. And right now I'm just stringing conveyors. So the whole idea of having a blueprinter that can connect to other, blueprints connecting to builds right here. This is the single biggest use case is connecting these. Oh, I can't wait. And the nice thing is with the new version, you don't have to build all of this. You just build one stand. I'm not sure how they make the connections, but just connecting it across and over, which means you don't have to keep them perfectly level. You don't have issues going over terrain. You just place them next to one, which would be so nice. So, and Icy Knight said that frustration doesn't cause burnout, just temporary breaks in the game. It's boredom that really gets you. Yeah. And Burnicus Maximus said that the chart explains me pretty well for Satisfactory. When I got burnt out, I just started a new factory. I realized setting up early can get rid of that late game frustration. Yep. Yeah, I was very happy to tell Doc at the end of Update 8, hey, we're starting a new world for 1.0. Because he had gotten to the point where everything was broken, right? We needed to make fused modular frames for one of our last few episodes in Update 8. And we were going back and handcrafting original modular frames because the factory was so slow and so bogged down and so broken. And there were places in the factory, and we mostly cut them out of the videos, where we'd run up to a machine, we'd just disconnect the conveyor out just to let the machine back up so we can grab stuff from it and then reconnect it afterwards. And then you'd forget to connect it, and then there'd be issues later, and just all sorts of issues. So I was super happy to start over with a fresh slate. And then I immediately designed the Mega Factory, and it didn't work so well. Or it had its major flaws. It works for tracks 2.1. That's awesome. How much farther are we going? I need to target that. So yeah, another couple. The highway you guys are building there in Minecraft, is that on the, that's not on the roof? Is that on the roof, or is that just in the nether normally? Because I would love to really get from my place to the shopping district a little easier. It's just under the roof. Interesting. That's an interesting decision. I think somebody did break up onto the roof, didn't they? What's the reason for going under the roof? Just because you couldn't get up there, or what? Verticus says the connecting blueprints will save so much time. Yes. Okay, so what's going on over here? Do I spy another one of Garrett's illegal builds? Oh, look at that. Look at what Garrett's doing. Ugh. Guys, this is why we have them all. This is why we have them all. Right here. This is the exact reason. Okay? Because when you want to go build, this is what you have to do to make the dimensional depot work. You have to build a squid. The whole bunch of uploaders just to hope to get enough. And each one uploads at 240 items per minute, which means for iron plates, that's a stack every single minute. Instead, you can put 9 stacks in your inventory and be done. Or, inventory is pretty darn big. You can fit a lot of stacks there, right? A lot of stacks. And you get rid of this mess that Garrett keeps on infecting my mall with. Oh, Garrett. uh, let's see. The ceiling is the roof to avoid the majority of lava pools. And if you really want to go on the roof, it can be right off the highway. Okay. It's easier to dig a 3x3 tunnel than to build it. Okay. And you want to be easily get down from the highway to a fortress if you need to. Sure. Huh. Cool. And somebody redeemed scan a hard drive. Yeah, we aren't going to 1.1 yet, just in case we don't want to cause any problems. So, it's going to be awesome. Good, there's a few. Okay. Yeah, luckily it should go live here fairly soon. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly where they go. By the way, guys, if you want to get a good look... Did I really? Actually, right now. If you guys want to see what the mall looks like from the backside, and this is a double-decker version of what we did in the Megafactory. There's 2 industrial storage containers stacked on top of each other. This is one product. You see the rods there. And then here's the other product, which is iron ingots here. It's just the one stacked on top of another. Then this one, the lower output is in the mall, and the upper output routes up to the uploader. And if you come over here, down below, the lower output of the lower industrial storage container routes downward to that uploader. So we have 2 industrial storage containers and 2 uploaders. And that's how you get it. So look around the front. You get your iron ingots here, your iron rods here, and then the uploaders are attached to the top port and to the bottom port. Right? So that's how that we get them integrated nicely. I do not want Garrett to work his black magic on hard drives. Oof. Oof. Yeah. We have a short coming out on Thursday. That's going to go over this in a bit more detail. So, iron ingots, just what? You know what? We're only putting about half of the total items in the game into the mall. right? We're actually removing a significant number of them, but yeah. Really? Now I have no idea which way is up because just spin it and see what happens. Well, I'm pressing down right now, and then I'm doing up. So, oh, I hate this so much. We're gonna do it that way. Go left, shift out. Oh, how far in do we go? Go there. Do we get lucky? Hey, we got lucky. Now it's not as well. Doc is back. Be careful what you do. Oh, Doc's back. He's not in his chair yet.
Just had to wipe my hands up. Find the paper towels, wipe my hands.
Very good.
Okay.
Cool.
All righty.
I almost have the two products back into the depot.
All right, so we'll have the frames and the
Doc, you see what Garrett did?
what did oh my what did he where did he do that?
Just below the mall. Right here, below the mall. With my nice routing, everything's put in there perfectly, and then he makes this mess.
Okay. Well, all he did then was just attach depots to your lines. He didn't mess up your lines, did he?
Technically not. Technically not. Anthony says, "I'm here for today's Garrett's damage report." Right on cue.
Alrighty.
There you go. There's Doc's view back as he stares at a wall. What does he need all the plates for anyway? He was building a new floor for the Gigafactory.
Okay.
First time chat from Chewbacca. Says
From
hello.
Chewbacca. All right, let's see if I have a blueprint for wire already. And I don't have a blueprint for wire quite yet. Okay. Or cable, pardon me.
Yeah, Whitestone, we've done that as well. In his mall, he has a short belt coming out in front of the, the storage container, so you can see what's on display. That's a good way of doing it. We've done that before.
Need to go to. A little difficult to get on these conveyors sometimes. Even more difficult to stay on them sometimes. Come on. Where do you get off of these crazy things? Okay.
Whitestone says, "Dad, he's building spaghetti again."
Kidding.
And the W. Yeah. Nice.
Okay, so you have put the reinforced iron plates and the modular frames in the depot.
Not quite. I'm finishing them up right now.
Okay. Wonder what he was using iron plate so much for.
Building a new floor on the factory.
Floors take iron plate, huh?
Foundations, yeah.
All right, let's load a blueprint. First off, before I do that, let me look over here at where is okay. Cable requires a constructor. Okay, only a constructor. It inputs 660 per minute wire and comes up with 30 per minute cable. Okay.
Pretty simple one.
Yeah, and it's a constructor, so yeah, that's a very simple one. So
Very good.
okay, so I can load any constructor blueprint. And frankly, let's kind of stick to the wire store one. And this one's going to be a cable store.
You might have been making walls, Icy Knight. How about that? Is that okay?
And it's going to be wire input. It's going to be...
Yeah, that could make sense.
And we don't know, question mark on both of those. Set
Or maybe he was just doing it this spite. That's entirely possible. Garrett does a lot of things out of spite. For example, not making the pizza dough yesterday, he agreed on making. It was definitely to spite me.
Why would that be? What did you do to make him angry?
I did nothing. I'm innocent as always. No, he just forgot. He was gonna do it, and it was gonna be delicious, and then he just didn't. And now we're gonna have to wait another day.
Okay, so this needs to be wire coming in and wire going there. Output any undefined. And the recipe is going to be for cable. So 150 per minute. 150 is the high one. 150 times 16 is more than what we can handle coming in. So if we've got 1200 that we've got possibly coming in and divide that by 16, that gives us what target per minute input I need to get to. So 1200 divided by 16, folks.
You know, caffeine, we've actually been
75.
experimenting with pizza the last little bit. You know, should we actually tried, instead of making the yeast with warm water and letting it rise like an hour and a half and then making the pizza, we tried actually making it cold and letting it sit for a day. And by golly, Dad, I never told you, but the taste difference is massive. Letting it sit for a day, holy
Really?
cow. It's the texture is just more full, more rich. The texture is a whole lot better too. It gets a little bit crunchier on the outside without being as chewy on the inside. Has larger kind of open bubbles to
Oh
it
yeah,
as well.
yeah. The yeast has more of a chance to do its number, which is where those bubbles come from.
Yep. So that extra day in the fridge made such a difference. Made it so much better. So
Well, you've become a connoisseur more than I care to.
I'm basically just taking advantage of the fact that Garrett enjoys cooking, and I enjoy eating good food.
Well, when you get somebody who enjoys cooking, someone who enjoys eating, and get them together, that's a recipe for weight loss. I mean, that weight gain. So be careful of that too.
Y- yeah.
Like Tom DeLuise, he loves to cook.
I'm messaging Garrett right now. I just messaged him pizza dough. Nothing else. I just said pizza dough. Samuel last name says my girlfriend prefers Domino's pizza over handmade, and that'll always make me upset. Yeah. Oof. Anthony says after working at a pizza place, I don't do them anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, those kind of things will ruin you.
Unfortunately. I
remember when oh dear. Okay. My screen went dark just as I went to hit Control V for paste. I remember when we were growing up, one of the big places to gather at, when I was a teenager in high school was Shakey's Pizza. And Shakey's Pizza, of course, has met the demise of a lot of other chains. But the neat thing about Shakey's Pizza is that it had this window where the guys making the pizza, or guys, women, where the people making the pizza would be making the dough, throwing the dough in the air to get it to spread out, putting the dough on the plate. I mean, this was, handmade from scratch. It's not get a frozen frisbee out of the freezer and put it on and put stuff on top of it and make a pizza. I mean, it was just good stuff. And so that was one of my favorite growing up.
Oh, and Anthony actually worked at a Domino's, which meant you were doing a dozen pizzas an hour, if not more. Very quick cooking.
Okay. So this cable store is going to end up with 1,200 wire input and 600 cable output. So this will be interesting. Definitely
Okay.
interesting.
And Giancarlo S says, "Hi Doc, how you doing?"
Doing good. I need to get rid of the spreadsheet so that I can see the text messages again. Oh, and Chewbacca. You mentioned that Chewbacca was the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that that's meant to be Chewbacca.
Chewbacca the Chewbacca.
Mm-hmm. Cable, and we got cable and
Samuel last name says, "Did you just copy and paste the machine's settings by looking at it? My mind is blown. I just manually set all 100 constructors for my screw factory. Always learn something new here."
Yeah, hit Control V on your keyboard. Control Victor on your keyboard. Control C to copy. Will also copy those settings.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the few. Control X, Control V, and Control C are one of the three of the few keyboard shortcuts I ever use. So, okay, we can clear the Blueprint Designer, and we have a.
Now, the big caveat to that, Samuel, is if you have a machine that's currently functioning and you paste something in there like you want it to go from where it's at to overclocking, okay, it will take everything that's currently in the inventory of that machine and put it in your bags. So there was a time when Doc went to overclock all of a bunch of machines in our nuclear power factory, and it unloaded all the uranium into Doc's pockets, and he died. Okay, so just FYI, that will happen. And for those who say you're struggling with it not working, one of the things I noted is, especially when you're talking about splitters, any sort of sorting machine, those you have to you have to paste it, and then you have to open up the inventory, open up the UI, and close it again for it to take effect. And it's super silly, and I really hope they fix that in 1.1.
Yep. And did you hear a cat? Yes, you did. Behind me, Callie and Mittens were having a little bit of a spat.
They fight all of them.
And yeah, one of them yelped when the other one swatted it with his paw. And then they went about their business. So, I mean, they're like normal siblings. Realistically, they're like normal siblings.
Wait, what are you saying?
They fight. Like you and Garrett, like you admitted to with Garrett earlier today. Or somebody said about the bit of arguing that we do on cameras, kind of.
I am offended.
You are offended. Okay.
Our mold is already completely full of modular frames and reinforced iron plate.
Good. That means that the iron ingots will back up and move on to the other lines where they're needed.
Yep. IC9 says he's implying that you and Varlet are cats. Oh.
Oh, not exactly.
And Archon Asriel says that the cat made Archon look for their cats, even though they reminded their grandmother today.
Well, look at this. Wire output on a wire store is 1200. Wire input on my cable store is 100. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to start it right here, and it's just going to be a two store output for wire. We will have that one done. Nobody was impressed with that. I can tell. Scan a hard drive.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading a really cool statement from Whitestone. It says, in 1.1, if you middle click a machine with a set recipe, it will copy the settings as well instead of just copying the machine.
Well, that would have been cool when I was doing those billboards.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love it.
Question: is there a bug in the conveyor lift that when rotating face the wrong direction when placed? I haven't noticed that one. If you get it going up and down correctly, rotating it shouldn't matter. The arguing you do on camera is part of the charm and entertaining. Yep. We try to keep it civil.
Yeah, Doc actually told Garrett and I to tone it down once, and so we had to kind of tone it down.
Yeah, after a while it gets a little tiring.
It is, at least to some degree, for fun, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's mostly for fun. It's not, yeah. Garrett and I share a house. We don't fight and bicker all the time. Also will copy sign settings. Awesome. So Spacebird says gonna head out for now. Thanks
Okay.
for sharing your awesome factory and streaming for us.
You betcha. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming. Okay.
That's what you want us to think, says Icy Knight. Yeah. Hey, great artist.
That is what we want you to think. That's why he said it. I mean, why else would he say it that way?
One of these days, maybe if we end up doing that subathon, and we're doing a time when Doc gets to have a break and it's just me and Garrett, we'll play Chained Together or some really dumb rage bait game that's a 2-player game. Then you'll see how much we actually really do love each other. Or maybe like Pico Park. I think that might be a little bit more... Icy Knight, we wouldn't get off the ground.
This will be one of the quickest factories I think I've ever built. Ever. And how many times do we struggle with not having enough cable? How long did we struggle with having enough cable in the previous builds, like the Gigafactory, Megafactory?
Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes would be a fun game on stream. Yes, it would be. Yeah, Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes. There was a version made right when the VR Google Glass came out, and everybody was starting to buy the ones where you can insert your cell phones into. I got one for my phone, and I played Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes exactly one time, because I couldn't convince anybody else that it was fun enough to play more than that. And that was before Doc retired, so... That's a big possibility, Ice Tonight. That's entirely
doable.
Yeah. And Ben is back. Good hop back on live now. Cool. Yeah, Doc, for the subathon, we should line up some fun activities to do.
Definitely.
But what we do is we tie them to an hour. Say, we're not going to do this thing until hour 8, or hour 12. To incentivize them to, to keep us going. So. Yeah.
So we wouldn't do Satisfactory for 24 hours?
No, please. I'd rather play Rage Bait game.
What's a Rage Bait game?
A Rage Bait game is a game intentionally made to be very frustrating. And they only exist because streaming exists. Because watching somebody go through extreme levels of frustration
is fun.
And now here's where it kind of takes a turn, is because that person who's playing the game actually has an incentive to finish and beat the game because they're playing it for a whole crowd of people. And so by the time you get through 20 hours of this Rage Bait game, you finally beat it. It's pretty awesome to finally beat it.
Beat it, huh?
Yeah. I say says hour 12. I don't think Doc will last that long.
Oh, is that a dare?
Well, for the 1.0 release, we did have... How many hours was the 1.0 release stream? Was that 12 or was it only 10?
I don't know how long we went. Long time.
It was. So.
And we just kept going until it was.
And because we are a fairly small stream, we can definitely do, fairly small account, we can definitely do extensions for smaller donations and bits and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like we can extend time for smaller donations. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So, Isaiah says, I dare you to do a 24-hour stream. There was one time.
He is hitting all of my buttons. That's not nice.
Oh. Daring.
Yep, he's daring. Anyway,
Good.
my hotkeys have decided to stop working.
Oh.
Totally. I mean, on my keyboard as well as on my...
Are the cats in here? Did they...
No, my cats have not been on my table.
We can blame them anyway. That's fine.
Blame them. Since none of my hotkeys are working, I'm going getting things off the menu, guys. It's not that I don't know how to use hotkeys. Please don't accuse me of not knowing how to use that.
Weisson Industries says, good news, that huge video project I talked about yesterday, I put it up on YouTube and it was a success. Awesome. Ben says, I'm working on the Dimensional Depot. They are such a relief. Yes, they are.
Okay. If this doesn't attach again, I'm going to just have to restart. There, it finally did. I'm going to have to lower this down. So used to using that hotkey for my conveyor that getting more irritating not having it.
Yeah, definitely. And a boy asks, till when are you going to stream?
Till when today?
Yeah.
Till 1, about a half hour longer.
Yeah. So we're actually coming to a close.
And Robert is so much looking forward to the Minecraft stream tomorrow. He would play Minecraft in his sleep if he could.
Okay, first off, I haven't played that much Minecraft. I've actually played very little. But for right now, it's a really good break from this game. And Cypress, you're absolutely correct. Stackable conveyor pulls are always awkward to place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why the stackable conveyor pulls don't snap to a conveyor to be able to stack things automatically. It feels like it should.
Yeah, it does.
Instead of having to place it on the ground and nudged over it. It feels silly.
We have a cable factory. What? Excuse me, did I put a what? No, that's cable. Obviously, I didn't update this sign on the blueprint.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you lock it down with H and nudge it, not as awkward. Still be nice if it is now. Yeah. So just for, quick ideas on the subathon, asking when the right time was. And Chat GPT gave an answer. It says announce it a couple weeks beforehand, of course. Prep unique incentives, of course. And in the parentheses it says hot tub not required, LOL.
Oh, they're trying to put a sense of humor into ChatGPT.
Yes. It's humor these last couple days. It's just been, what is this?
Let's see if I think I updated this one. Wirestore. No.
Yes, Ben. Tomorrow the stream is the same time as today. It will be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central U.S. time. And if you guys would like to have it to see it localized, we have a schedule channel in our Discord. Let me grab the link to that real quick for you guys.
Should go for the world record longest Minecraft stream. Well, I think my channel could do that if I had the help of my friends. But I don't think that I could do it. Only because I don't think I could stay awake that long.
Yeah.
I mean, bedtime comes nowadays, and oh man, I struggle to stay awake at all.
Yeah. But there are some subathons, Doc, and this is entirely a discussion we'll have, off stream. But first, we just got a Prime subscription on Twitch from Kuro Yuingo.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
But some people say they'll do a limit of 12 hours a day, and so that when they hit the 12 hours, they'll just come back the next day and keep on streaming. Which, yeah, I guess that.
And then that splits it up, allows the user to get the streamer to keep the quality up.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when I get tired, my quality's going to go down. You can see at the end of these streams that, like yesterday, I get real quiet. I start concentrating more. Because it takes more effort, and
Yep.
It just isn't as cool.
I think we would definitely orient all the content towards stuff that's less brain power intensive.
Mm-hmm.
For most of the streams, so you can just kind of hang out and chat basically all day
Yeah. Okay.
with some fun stuff.
So, as far as signage goes here, I'd get rid of the wire input line out here and just call it cable store output 600, right?
Okay.
Inside I have the ouch.
And Kuro says, "Hey, thanks for the content. Found your Satisfactory tips shorts on YouTube. Working on my first huge factory and enjoy the tips.
Fantastic.
Least I could do to support the great work. Thanks, guys."
Appreciate that. First time chat. Okay. Fantastic. Appreciate the sub. Using your Prime subs, for me, that's really nice. You've got choices to use them all over the place, and using them for me really is gratifying. They are appreciated.
And Whitestone likes it when you end after 12 hours. Or it says that YouTube likes it when your stream ends at 12 hours. Doesn't really like you going over that. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that Brian Hall, when he's streaming, because there's a, tornado flow,
Yeah.
tornado problems going on, he's run into that problem where he's had to stop and restart the stream
Sure.
because of that. So, okay. Well, I built a whole factory here, Robert.
Nice.
Okay, now that was in, so the Audi must be there. There it is. Now, remind me where we go with the out items. We go to that side wall.
We go west, not south.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, do you want me to go straight west, or do you want me to go to that wall and then go west?
No, you can just go straight west. But as you're going west, please keep it on the ceiling.
Will do, boss.
Appreciate it. Trumpkin says that was a great view from the window up there. Yup.
I get the feeling it might be a need to restart Satisfactory sort of issue with my hotkeys.
Yeah.
I mean, the hotkeys work for everything except the bar down below.
Interesting. Well, you can always use your keyboard.
No, keyboard's not working either.
So pressing 1 on your keyboard doesn't work?
No. It's
Interesting.
It's not my gamepad. It's not a problem with the gamepad. It seems to be a problem with the game.
What happens when you do Alt scroll wheel?
Alt scroll wheel. It just.
Alt? You're holding
I'm holding
Alt?
down the Alt key.
Interesting. Because Alt scroll wheel is supposed to move.
Change. It's supposed to change hotkeys, right?
Yeah.
To the next rank. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not working either.
Well, unfortunately, with our server, it'd take you 20 minutes to get back in, so.
Yeah, so I'm not going to at the moment.
Yeah. And Barnica says he was having issues with hotkeys yesterday.
Interesting. What if they sent a minor update?
And Icy Knight and Trumpkin say the same thing.
Interesting.
So.
Here I am trying to lean over to get a better perspective on my two-dimensional screen.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
What are some early games that you played a lot, like on the computer, Dan?
Well, I played, Jazz Jackrabbit. What was that game that was the funky? It was really cartoonish. Oh, what was that game? I enjoyed that so much. Early games we're talking, right?
Yeah.
Try trapping control a few times, he says. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna then see if no, that didn't affect things.
Dang. Well, thanks to the idea. Really cartoony. Okay, I'm not getting anything from that one.
was really cartoony, and it was a professor, and he had to solve a problem, and you helped him solve the problem. Um, oh gosh, I
Not
loved
an
it.
educational game, was it?
I don't think it was. By the way, Spear F1, was a first time chat there too. I'd like to recognize that. Appreciate you speaking up, not just hanging in the background.
Chris Wall says, "Yeah, I remember Rabbit Sonic with a blaster. That was one of those education games. That's what came to mind for me too." Huh. Because I do remember having a lot of those educational games.
Oh yeah, the Learning Company,
Yeah, the Learning Company.
we sold a lot of that. Okay, it decided not to attach. Yep, doing that again. I had to try to attach a conveyor 3 separate times back in the back,
Yeah.
and suddenly it's just not wanting to attach again.
I tell you what, we should probably also restart the server after today's stream.
Yep, it's
Yeah, because that's just not building now.
nope, it's just not building. Yep, it's just
Oh,
not,
it turned there at the end. Okay.
well, but it's not building. So
Well,
I really don't want to end the stream this soon, but if I can't build anything,
yeah.
what's the point? But
Right.
the problem is restarting.
Can you select something else to build and then come back to this item to build? Because that's a problem I have all the time.
Okay, so let's build a conveyor floor hole. And it built. Okay, let's delete the floor hole. Okay, let's try the conveyor.
Well, Icy Knight Doc uses a Razor Nostromo, is what it's called. Or no, is it called Nostromo anymore? Or is it the N52TE? No, it's the Tartarus. Sorry, has an extra line to it. It's an extra gamepad / keyboard,
Okay.
and it
Yeah,
could
this
be
is what it looks like.
the same sort of issue if somebody has an issue with their controller. Yeah. And if you recognize it from a movie that nobody ever saw, the Ender's Game movie used those to be super futuristic keyboards.
So my hotkeys are up above here, 1 through 5, the main ones that I use, and the rest are just the WASD such keyboard controls along the other.
So it could be having issues with recognizing two keyboards and stuff like that.
Well, the suggestion of building something else and coming back has helped me continue building here. So
Oh, good. Icy Knight says, that looks like something I could never bring myself to use.
really,
Mighty Elf, first time chat. He says, just joined for the first time ever, and Ender's Game was mentioned? Question mark, exclamation point.
honestly, the Ender's Game movie tried to use a Razer
Yeah.
keyboard for something. Okay.
When they had in the final scene when everybody was arrayed together in this big massive battle at the end. Yeah, they were all using them. It was super silly.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Arco Nazriel have the same thing. Makes playing Satisfactory and MMOs so much easier. I got my first one because I was playing World of Warcraft back in the day. And you're absolutely right. Playing an MMO, when you have a character who has 20 different buttons you gotta click, keyboard ain't gonna cut it. You gotta get a dedicated pad that can have alt keys and all that other stuff. And this was back before you had really fancy keyboards that had built-in macros.
And that's how Robert got me hooked. He says, "Oh, if you're gonna play games, you got to get this." So,
Yep.
So when I was playing WoW and when I was playing
Guild Wars.
Guild Wars 2, played a lot with the keyboard there.
The book series is pretty darn good. I've read I've read most things that Orson Scott Card wrote. Um, the last I haven't completely finished the Bean series or the Shadow series. I don't know what they call it. I read like the first 3 or 4 books in that series. I know he's continued, but I kind of lost interest when I left the planet. So
Okay, so which way do I go here, or do I just go straight over and then start going up?
you're here. You're going down, right?
That's right. I guess I would
So
be
yeah,
going down.
go
Across here.
across there and go down. Yep. Yeah, Mighty Elf. They were a fun series. Definitely enjoyed reading them. They used to be my favorite series, but I struggle when it feels like an author is just continuing a series because they can, or because that's their best idea. But I definitely enjoyed
He really has a hard time when people exhibit their human side.
Oh brother, oh brother. Ender's Game was a very specific book with a very specific concept, and it was really, really well executed. Then you went into Shadow of the Mind, um, Children. Oh, come on. I haven't talked about this book in
Children
forever.
of
I'm
the
sorry.
something or other.
Children of the Mind,
No.
Shadow of something. Oh,
Children
come
of the
on.
Hegemon or something like that.
Yeah, then there was yeah, gosh, I'm sorry. I'm totally butchering all the names. That new trilogy was excellent. It explored an entirely new concept. There is a big it really is very real when you have somebody who's a child prodigy or does something incredible when they're fairly young or didn't quite earn it or whatever. Suddenly what you do for the rest of your life and you experience this massive burnout. That's a really real thing, and exploring that in a sci-fi setting was super cool. um then following Bean's perspective was great. um
Right. 'Cause he wrote a whole book on Bean's perspective of
he
the whole battle and everything, right?
Right, and seeing Bean's perspective on everything was awesome, but then they continued Bean's story after he got back to Earth, and I read like 3 or 4 books in that series, but then that suddenly became a military thriller, right? And that was really odd. And now they've gone to space or something. I don't know, and I kind of fell off after that, but it was interesting how he hit like 3 different genres in the same universe. So, yeah. Somebody else says, I should reread everything now. I actually wore out 2 physical copies of Ender's Game.
All right.
Yeah, Trumpkin, going from the first Ender's book to the second one, it was a totally different genre.
That
Suddenly you
didn't
talk about
sound good.
Say what?
That didn't sound good.
Nope. It went from kid killing aliens to suddenly we're talking about the ethics of meeting alien species and understanding communications with them. The Pequeños or the I don't know, it's Portuguese.
Okay, okay.
The thing
I
I
might.
really enjoyed about that book that still stuck with me, and I still use the terms because I found nobody else who's described the terms properly the way he did in that book. He came up with 2 concepts: the concept of Raman and Varels. At least I think that's what the names were. The idea when you're dealing with an alien species is that species Raman, and Raman meant a species that you communicate with and could come to an accord with and operate alongside no matter how foreign they were. They're Raman. Versus Varels just means they're so foreign, communication is impossible, therefore hostilities are inevitable. And it seems like most fantasy and science fiction deals exclusively with Raman. and therefore they solve all their problems as though they're ramen.
Okay, Robert. You
Yeah,
have a porthole in the floor here in your space.
cool. You see that conveyor, those conveyor belts below you?
Yes.
That's where they'll go.
So do you want me to just drop it down and directly onto this
Sure.
next
How about
conveyor
that?
here? And do I just put it with a merger?
Yep, merger on the third line.
Okay.
Suddenly not being able to use your keyboard kind of stinks.
Yeah. Yeah, like there, I would have just switched straight over. Boom. Nice and straight. Yes, I got it right.
Awesome.
So it's going that direction, huh? Okay.
Yep. And Mighty Elf says, have you read Christopher Paolini's To Sleep in a Sea of Stars? It's very similar and I love it a lot as well. I have not. I bounced off of the Inheritance series. Didn't care for it a whole ton. But I will give that one a shot. But Ark and Azrael did enjoy Inheritance, it sounds like.
Interesting. Inheritance was his original thing with the dragons and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That one came out right as I was kind of leaving the house for the first time, and Jenga's helping me with, remember, scanning hard drive. And so I didn't even see it until there's a movie out. And I watched the movie and I just like, eh. So it's a kid with a dragon fighting a bad guy with a sword. Seen this movie before.
Alrighty. Well, it is about that time, and I've come to the logical conclusion of what I was doing. Maybe I. Okay, what's funny now?
Mighty Elf says, we don't talk about the movie. Same time, Ark and Azrael, don't mention the movie.
Okay.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
So the movie, they tried to make a movie of his book, his first book.
Yep. And that's all I ever saw, and I was like, eh. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, is that about where we call it quits then?
Yeah, I think so. I've got this. It's going in. If it's in the mall, fine. If it's not in the mall quite yet,
No, it won't be, but I'll finish that up pretty quick.
okay, you'll be able to see what's on the line. We've gosh, we're making some good progress. We're getting some base products into the mall, and yeah, getting it built up. So
Cool.
all right. So hey, thanks everybody. All you guys who subscribed on Twitch and became members on YouTube. Appreciate each and every one of you. We are going to do Minecraft tomorrow, so if you want to become a member on YouTube or a subscriber on Twitch, you can come join us playing there. At least the first 10 folks will be 8 folks will be able to join. There's room on the server for 11, I believe, on that. And there has to be room for me, for Robert, and for Garrett if he wants to join. We haven't maxed it out yet, but if we find that we're maxing it out consistently, we'll go buy a server and we'll make more room so that more folks can play. We'll just move the save game and move it on over. And as always happens, Raisin K says hello everyone, which means he just joined. And unfortunately, we're just signing off. Hate to do that to you, but I got to do some wiring in the house. So that's kind of what we're up to now. So we're gonna go do. I'm gonna do some wiring, put some outlets and outlet boxes, pull wire through holes, and do some good things over there. So appreciate everybody coming. We'll look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. Different genre of game, different game entirely. We're gonna do Minecraft. So look forward to seeing you then. Talk to you later. Bye bye.